So you've decided to click on a 3-hour-long YouTube video. Gotta say, I like your style. So I figured before we get into this massive video, I should probably explain a couple of things, and then you can decide whether you want to hang out for 3 hours or move on to the next thing. And for those of you that don't know me and don't know what we're doing here, I've been reacting to Taylor Swift in chronological order for over a year now, diving deep into her discography, her live performances, interviews, behind the scenes, all those sort of things, trying to understand Taylor Swift from the perspective of a complete outsider, from the perspective of somebody that always knew who she was, but really didn't know much at all about any of her music and the impact it has on people. And in this video, we continue our journey with a deep dive into Taylor Swift's Midnights album. So this video has been a true labor of love for me. It's taken me about a month to complete. I put my blood, sweat, and tears into it. I poured my heart and soul into it. And it was a lot of work, but it was also a lot of fun. And it was also eye-opening. And just like every step of this journey, it's been a very rewarding experience for me. Now, with that said, if you do enjoy this video, or at least appreciate my efforts putting this together, please consider liking this video and subscribing. It truly does help me out a lot, and I'd really appreciate it. Now, next up on my chronological order list, we're going to be moving on to the thing I've been excited about for well over a year now, and that is diving into the Eras Tour. You know, the Eras Tour is the whole reason I even started doing this series to begin with. You know, I've said this story before, so I'll be very brief, but I was working outside of a stadium well over a year ago in the pouring rain after a Taylor Swift show, and I was waiting for my ride to come and pick me up, and we were just sitting there in the rain, and we were sharing an umbrella together, and I was just asking this older woman and a younger woman how they enjoyed the show, if they had fun, and because they looked kind of cold, you know, because it was downpouring, it was raining and everything, and they were both emotional with their responses. They said that it meant so much to them, that they've been saving and wanting to go to this for years. It was their first Taylor Swift experience. It was something that, you know, this mother and daughter enjoyed together for years, and it was a bonding moment for them. And they shared a heartbreaking story about their family and about why this show was special and about what Taylor meant to them. And this was an eye-opening thing for me. Up until this point, this conversation, I kind of always thought of Taylor as this bubblegum thing, you know, this kind of plastic, this manufactured, this, oh, she pumps out the radio hits, but like I never looked at her with a critical eye and with an open heart, and really dived into her music and tried to understand it from the perspective as an artist and less as this manufactured thing. So when I got home after that conversation, I decided that I have to dive into this. I have to see what the phenomenon's all about. You know, all these people can't be wrong. You know, how are so many people having such a connection to one artist? What is she doing that I'm not understanding? And thus, that is where the chronological order of the Taylor Swift reactions began. And I know the Eras Tour is not what we're here to talk about today. We're going to get to Midnights in just a second, but I wanted to share that with people because this is kind of an achievement for me. I've reached a goal. I've started to understand. I've started to embrace Taylor Swift, not as a manufactured thing, but as a true poet and as a true artist. Anyway, if you're interested in hanging out and enjoying the Eras Tour with me, I'm going to be doing it live over on Twitch. There's a link down in the description. Check it out. I pop on there all the time, and we're just going to be enjoying the Eras Tour and seeing what I've been looking forward to for so long. Also, it's worth noting that I don't do any sponsored content. Never have, never will, never wanted to do that. I don't want to sell people some kind of VPN or some Temu makeup accessory or whatever. You know, I've worked sales to some degree for years at this point, on and off with different random jobs. And it's just not something I want to do in my private time. So I made that decision a long time ago to not go that route into monetizing YouTube. In fact, most of the videos here on YouTube, I don't monetize at all. This video, I will be making nothing, but that's okay because it's a labor of love. It's something that I truly want to share with people. It's a beautiful experience to have, and I feel honored to be able to do it. However, if you do enjoy my content or appreciate my efforts or just want to help keep the lights on around here, I do have a Patreon down below as well with 80+ exclusive Taylor Swift reactions, going through her entire catalog, going through all of the behind the scenes, the tours, a much deeper dive into these album reactions that I cannot share on YouTube due to copyrights. I think it's just good for both of us. I don't have to sell you anything. You get hundreds of hours of extra in-depth analysis. And on top of that, I get to be some sort of like fucked up version of PBS. Anyway, I hope you all enjoy the video. And what do you say we get right into the Midnights prologue?
What keeps you up at night? It's a momentary glimmer of distraction. The tiniest notion of romantic thought that wanders off into wondering. The spark that lights a tinderbox of fixation. And now is irreversible. The flame has caught. You're wide awake. Maybe it's that one urgent question you meant to ask someone years ago but didn't. Someone that slipped through the cracks in your history, and they are too far gone now anyway. All the ghost ships that have sailed and sailed away, but at this hour, they've anchored in your harbor. They sit with flags waving bright and beautiful, and it's almost like it's real. Sometimes sleep is as evasive as happiness. Isn't it mystifying how quickly we vacillate between self-love and loathing at this hour? One moment, your life looks like a night sky of gleaming stars. The next, the fog has descended. Suddenly, you're in the rope indentations of your old tire swing still on the branch. All the phone numbers you still know by heart but never call anymore. The boy's devastated face as he peeled out of your driveway. The family man he is now. What must they all think of you? Why can't you sleep? Maybe you lie awake in the aftershock of falling headlong into a connection that feels like some surreal cataclysmic event. Like spontaneous combustion or seeing snow falling on a tropical beach. A lavender haze crush that feels like the crash of waves. Or is tonight the night you realize how solitary, how alone you really are, no matter how high you climb. The elevation just makes it colder. Some midnights you're out and you're buzzing with electric current, an adventurer in pursuit of rapturous thrill. Music blaring from speakers in the reckless intimacy of dancing with strangers. Something in this shadowy room to make you feel shiny again. On these nights, you know that there are facets of you that only glow in the dark. Why are you still up at this hour? Because you're cosplaying vengeance fantasies where the bad man is hauled away in handcuffs and you get to watch it happen. You laugh into the mirror with a red wine snarl. You look positively deranged. Maybe you were trying to mastermind matters of the heart again. You've gotten lost in the labyrinth of your head where the fear wraps its claws around the fragile throat of true love. Will you be able to save it in time? Save it from who? Well, it's obvious. From you. We lie awake in love and in fear and in turmoil and in tears. We stare at walls and drink until they speak back. We twist in our self-made cages and pray that we aren't. Right this minute, about to make some fateful life-altering mistake. This is a collection of music written in the middle of the night. A journey through terrors and sweet dreams. The floors we pace and the demons we face. For all of us who have tossed and turned and decided to keep the lanterns lit and go searching. Hoping that just maybe, when the clock strikes 12, we'll meet ourselves. See you there, midnight, sharp.
Okay, all right, fine. I'm sorry. I know that was a bit over the top, but I'm literally recording this video on Halloween, so I'm feeling a little spooky, and it just felt right to do that. Plus, these prologues are always a bit ominous. But today is the day we're doing it. We're finally doing the Midnight's album reaction review, or whatever you want to call it is that I do here. But I'm pretty excited about it. It should be a lot of fun. There's been a lot of hype around this one. I've had countless people reach out to me about this in particular era that I'm about to dive into, sharing their personal thoughts, sharing lots of documents and all sorts of, suggestions to kind of help me along the way. And I've taken them all into consideration. I've sat with them for a while, and I think I've got a clear understanding of exactly what I'm going to do. So for a while there, I thought I was going to be doing the lyric videos on YouTube, and a lot of people mentioned that there's some, themes that tie together through the colors and the imagery that you see that might be beneficial to the audio that I'm hearing. The problem is those YouTube lyric videos are not the best audio quality. If you haven't noticed, I'm kind of an audio guy, so I'm going to be sticking with the Spotify playlist. Maybe if I swing back around and do a second album listening, or I'll pop on Twitch or something and we'll do the lyric videos after what I've already done here. So yeah, I'd recommend turning on those notifications if you follow me on Twitch, because probably in the next coming weeks, I'm going to be doing some bonus material outside of this album reaction that I'll be doing live with everybody. So anywho, this has been a bit confusing. This is an interesting era to dive into, coming outside of the Folklore and Evermore era that we just finished. Because there's so many different versions. There's 3 different versions, and it's been broken down for me over here. Let's check it out. Okay, so let's break this down here. So my understanding is that at midnight on October 21st, 2022, Taylor blessed the world with 13 tracks that encompassed the basic foundations of what the Midnight album was. But then she said, hey, everybody, not so fast. Don't go to sleep yet. I want to keep everybody up and make everybody super groggy tomorrow because at 3 a.m., I'm going to drop 7 bonus tracks on you. Okay, so some Swifties definitely had some sleepless nights out in October. I can only imagine the productivity loss from just employers and from schools and everything. I would imagine a lot of you guys, the hardcore ones, probably called out the next day. You know, they stayed up all night listening to the album and the 3 a.m. edition, and it's a lot of music and you want to hear it a couple times and maybe you're too hyped to go to sleep. Just think of the productivity loss. And I mean, it's no secret that Taylor can be fantastic for the economy. When Taylor comes to town, like all these businesses, they report record sales. Like there's so much money involved in the production of a Taylor Swift show that everybody kind of benefits. Everything and everybody flourishes because she is there. However, I can only imagine the catastrophic losses that this album caused to production from companies. You know, Taylor giveth and she taketh. Anyway, so fast forward about 7 months, the economy's officially healed itself. You know, we're back to all-time highs in productivity, and the people have had time to resignate and marinate with this album. And then Taylor says, not so fast, everybody, because I got 3 more tracks for you, and we're calling it the Till Dawn edition. Anyway, so there's a lot more context to go over in these documents. Thank you for putting it together for me, and I will be swinging back around as I dive into these specific songs. I just don't want to really spoil anything too much as I dive in. And back by popular demand is everybody's favorite Cowboy Hannah. That's right, Cowboy Hannah is officially back and she has outdone herself with this document. There is a tremendous amount of content to go over in this whole thing, and I'm going to be referencing it every step along the way. But Hannah's not the only one. I got a couple dozen other people that have documents in the works, and I'll be referencing them along the way as well. Also, for those of you that put together playlists for me, thank you so much. I'm so sorry I'm not going to use any of your hard work. I know it's kind of a dick move, and I do apologize, and thank you for putting together YouTube playlists for me. At some point, like I said, I'll swing back around and I will get to them. But this whole show, this whole video, this whole experience is out of my control for the most part. It is a runaway train. It's a getaway car. Also, in case you missed it, I did experience the Midnight Mayhem thing that happened. I had a whole little compilation of every song being picked, and I'm assuming my theories on every song are 100% correct.
Track 13. Because of course. Track 13 is called Mastermind.
All right, so track 13 is called Mastermind. What's it about? Let us know. Oh, she's not going to tell us. Okay, so she's going to go through and apparently tell us the name of each track, but not tell us any other context behind it. So I will give guesses, and don't cheat. Don't tell me if I'm right or wrong. I'm assuming Mastermind is about the fall of the Soviet Union. Here we go. All right, so there's the cover. Possibly, I don't know. She's playing with fire. That's the one image I've seen. Yeah, it looks pretty intense. Okay, here she is sitting with an old 70s couch, looking off broodingly into the distance, wondering what keeps you up at night. Okay, there she is with an old organ. Very cool. Again, keeping this kind of, I don't know, early 70s, late 60s kind of vibe going on. Very retro. I'm digging it. Lyrics, don't want to look at those yet. Here she is in a fantastic sweater in corduroy pants. You don't see corduroy pants anymore. I love corduroy. Back in my day, it was frowned upon to wear it, but I've always enjoyed it. It keeps you warm. It doesn't crease. It is essentially just one giant crease. I'm a fan of corduroy. She looks fantastic, and brown socks are awesome as well. More lyrics. Now she has on a other shirt, and she's wearing baggier jeans. She looks like she's got a version of Jenko's on, which I fully support. Okay, now she's showing how to sit on the couch the right way and the wrong way. This is dangerous. Can you guys even see this? No, you can't see. My dumb face is covering it. But she's drinking a drink, and it's just not a good way to drink. It's gonna go up your nose, and if it's milk, it's gonna be a disaster. There we go. Another close-up of her face, and she is looking diabolical. Okay, here we go. All right, another close-up of her face. Very cinematic shot over here. I don't know, dude. It's got like that retro vibe to it through the whole thing, from the coloring to what she's wearing and everything. But it also still has a hint of horror to it. You know, just like the dark shadowing. Ah, fuck! Oh no! Oh, it just went into a different window. That's cool. Don't worry. Here we go. Yeah. She's looking like a I don't know, like a person, a lady. She's looking like Taylor Swift, but like, you know, she's like feathered and shit. Oh, here we go. There's numbers. This means something, I'm assuming. 2123. I don't know what that means. Is it a date? Does something happen in the year 2123? Is she going to be around that long? I don't know. Wait, what year are we in? 2024. Yeah, okay. I don't know, man. This is presumptuous to think that she's going to live essentially 100 more years. I mean, maybe we can. Technology is going in a really cool place right now. Maybe, she's got the money to do it. So I'm assuming what this means is she's going to cryogenically freeze herself sometime in the coming years or months. Then in 100 years from now, the world will have a second coming of Taylor Swift. Okay, I think that's everything I needed to cover in the intro. This intro is probably like 40 minutes. People are probably like, are you going to react to the fucking thing or are you just going to talk? But let's get into it. Let's do it. It's like voices that are modulated in the background.
Staring at the ceiling with you. Oh, you don't ever say too much. And you don't really read into my melancholia. I've been under scrutiny. Yeah, oh yeah. You handle it beautifully. Yeah, oh yeah. All this shit is new to me. Yeah, oh yeah. I feel the lavender haze creeping up on me. So real. I'm damned if I do give a damn what people say. No deal. The 1950s shit they want from me. I just wanna stay in that lavender haze.
Maybe it's 50s. Maybe that's a get up look.
All they keep asking me is if I'm gonna be your bride.
Great inflections.
The only kind of girl they see is a one night or a wife. I find it dizzying, yeah, oh yeah. They're bringing up my history, yeah, oh yeah. But you weren't even listening, yeah, oh yeah.
You can.
Talk your talk and go viral. I just need this love spiral. Get it off your chest. Get it off my desk. Talk your talk and go viral. I just need this love spiral. Get it off your chest. Get it off my desk.
All right, so that is immediately infectious. It's very catchy, and it just puts you in this like really nice, solid, chill groove state. But full transparency, I think I may have heard this one. I'm not sure where. I probably didn't even recognize that it was Taylor Swift, but this just sounds like something I may have heard in the background. And it might just be from samples in the songs. There's a lot of like these dissonant voices in the background, and this little oh, like that might be a sample from something else that I'm picking up on, but something about it sounds a little familiar. But I've never paid too much attention to this song if I did hear it or it was just background noise to me. Looking at it a little bit deeper in analyzing the lyrics and, absorbing the sonic palette of it all, I can definitely tell now with the experience I have with Taylor Swift, immediately this is a Taylor Swift song. But yeah, coming from Folklore and Evermore, the vibe has definitely changed a little bit. You know, it's still minimalistic in spirit, kind of like how those albums can be at times. And I mean, yes, obviously it's a departure from the last two eras that we have. It doesn't have that quaint, you know, charming Folklore Evermore vibe to it where the organic acoustics are at the forefront. We're swinging back around to a more synthetic heavy production here, at least on this song. Maybe we'll get more acoustic stuff later on. But for now, everything seems to be in that more modern, kind of warm, almost analog synth tone. I mean, Jack Antonoff, I know, has a huge part in this album, so that is not a surprise. And even though vocally this is mostly staying in a chill kind of mid-tone, there still are these dominant and tonic notes that add these interesting inflections to the song. It just gives us a little personality, you know? But lyrically, what is this about? What is Taylor trying to say? Well, from what's been shared with me, this album tends to be a bit more autobiographical as compared to some of her previous works, especially the last two albums, where she had these intertwining stories. People have hinted there might be some of that in this album, but for the most part, she's talking about things from her own perspective. So with that information, I'm going to share some of my own theories and thoughts, and then we'll move over to what actual fans have to say about this song. Now, if she is talking about herself and she's talking about her place in this world and how she experiences things, I think she's talking about getting to a place of comfortability without any judgment from society in any kind of ways. No societal pressures, you know. She's not going to be the 50s housewife. She's not going to be the one-night stand. She's not going to immediately get married just because those are some of the pressures that people have put on her. No, she just wants to be in this state of mind, this lavender haze, where she's just at bliss. She's at peace with herself and possibly with somebody else. She likes being lost in this place. But I think she's talking about a specific person, someone that's kind of like a safe space to her. She mentions it here in the beginning of the song, staring at the ceiling with you. Been under scrutiny, you handle it beautifully, and this shit is new to me. So I think what that is like, you know, there's been societal pressures on her and the people that she dates. And, you know, I'm sure being in the tabloids and newspapers or online articles or wherever it is nowadays that, you know, those sort of speculations are made, it's taxing on the relationship. We've heard this angle. We understand this story from her from a lot of her previous work. But at this point, it seems like she's getting to that point of comfortability, and she's finding someone that's just okay with that and okay with, hey, we're in the spotlight, but I'm not going to read too much into it. I'm not going to read into a story that I'd read about you that you might be doing this, because I understand that they're just trying to go viral and trying to make a name for themselves off of your name. And I would imagine to Taylor that would be incredibly valuable, because it's a strange thing. I would imagine it would be such a strange thing to be in a relationship with somebody that is so massively and overly famous. You know, being famous is one thing, someone recognizing you somewhere or whatever, but being to the point where you're famous like her, you know, where anything you do can be monetized, you know, going to the mall, people still go to malls. I don't think people go to malls, but if going out shopping or whatever, like anything she does can be capitalized on and is capitalized on. And I would imagine that would get to her and to the person that she's dating. So finding someone that doesn't read too much into how she's feeling or the words that are surrounding what she does is got to be incredibly valuable to her. So another angle of this is she's talking about the stereotype, you know, the stigma of Taylor Swift. And if she was to follow that narrative, if she was to really lean into it and just become somebody's wife because it would make this story more sense, or she would just have more one-night stands so she could lean into more of her villain, you know, man-eater kind of thing. I think she's saying, if I do either one of those things, it's not exactly beneficial to me. You know, I don't care about any of this stuff anymore. I just want to be in this lavender haze, which is just like, I'm assuming, a peaceful mind state with somebody that doesn't get too wrapped up in the media surrounding her. And I love this series of lines here. Talk your talk and go viral. I just need this love spiral. Get it off your chest. Get it off my desk. The line talk your talk and go viral, I think we all understand. I don't think there's any deep hidden metaphor here. I think we all understand that there is this economy around Taylor Swift. And I think here maybe she's saying, get it off your chest, get it off my desk. Maybe she's saying, go ahead, you can write those articles, you can talk about me, you can do whatever, but I don't want to see it. Don't share it with me. I don't care. All right, so those are my first impressions, but let's see what Hannah's going to say about this one.
Lavender Haze was released as the second single to Midnights on November 29th. 2022. As the opening track of the album, it lets you know what direction the album will go musically. The meaning of this song can be interpreted differently. Taylor herself stated that she used it as a phrase for being in love, because that's what the term was used for in the 1950s. But lavender is also a slang term for gay men used in the 20th century.
What?
and some people just assume she talks about being high from smoking. Either way, the song sets the tone for this album, maybe even because it has multiple meanings and versions of interpretation like some of the other songs have too. She also continues to comment on the double standards for men and women by saying, "No deal vertical bar. The 1950s shit they want from me and all they keep asking. Me vertical bar is if I'm gonna be your bride vertical bar.
Vertical bar!
Or a wife. To me, your bride vertical bar is a one night or a wife. To me, these lines are specifically interesting in the context of the song You're Losing Me, where she again talks about marriage, as you will see later.
And I hope you have a ton of vertical bars and your explanations, because I'm not going to edit out any of it. Okay, so some interesting theories. I didn't know about Lavender referring to gay men in the 20th century. Also, I didn't make the assumption of Lavender Haze meant her doing some sort of drug or something. I guess I could see how that possibly might play out, but I didn't make that connection personally. I doubt Taylor Swift is writing a song about getting absolutely ripped. I would love it. I think it'd be fantastic if she wrote a song about like a night at home with her bong and like a good book and some candles and her cats and just kind of like vibing out in the moment. Who knows? Maybe someday she will. I don't know. But I don't see it, you know? That doesn't really read to me and to her general style from everything I know from her. But I have been dead wrong before, and I will be dead wrong again. I guarantee it. Oh, check this out. In this document, we actually have explanations from Taylor. Let's check one of them out. Okay, so Taylor's going to tell us exactly what Lavender Haze is about. I could read it, but you can't make me read anything. You just can't do it. And I chose this AI voice because there's a cat in the profile pic.
I happened upon the phrase Lavender Haze when I was watching Mad Men, and I looked it up because I thought it sounded cool. And it turns out that it's a common phrase used in the 50s where they would just describe being in love. Like, if you were in a lavender haze, that meant that you were in that all-encompassing love glow. And I thought that was really beautiful. And I guess theoretically, when you're in the lavender haze, you'll do anything to stay there and not let people bring you down off of that cloud. And I think a lot of people have to deal with this now. Not just quote-unquote public figures, because we live in the era of social media, and if the world finds out that you're in love with somebody, they're going to weigh in on it. Like my relationship, for 6 years we've had to dodge weird rumors, tabloid stuff, and we just ignore it. So this song is about the act of ignoring that stuff to protect the real stuff. I hope you guys like it.
Okay, interesting. I won't use that voice again because I don't think any of us want any ASMR, or maybe you do. I don't know. Regardless, I'm not going to do it. But that made me feel a little uncomfortable. I don't want to be whispered at, you know. So I do apologize about that. Okay, so even though the song is a bit autobiographical, she still is approaching it from the perspective of the everyday person in the era of social media. I get it. I understand. You know, I had countless people when I married my wife saying, "Okay, when are those kids coming? When are you gonna? More people? We need more people." And my wife and I were like, "There's already so many fucking people. There's a lot of fucking people. Like, we don't have houses for all these people. Food is gonna dry up. Like, water's gonna be a huge thing. Like, I think we're like a lot of people. We don't need any more people." But I mean, she's not wrong. You know, we all do it. We all doom scroll, and people make assumptions off of other people based on what sort of content they're releasing. And I get it, man. I understand, because you might not think that you are a content creator, but I guarantee 100% you are. If you have any sort of presence on the internet, somebody is monetizing off of your thoughts, your ideas, your likeness, and your presence. And even if you don't get a monthly check, I guarantee somebody is. Somebody's making some AdSense revenue off of you. But overall, I think it's a great little opening track. I think it's setting the tone for what we can expect moving forward. I think Taylor sounded great. I think her inflections were nice. The drum pattern was, you know, minimalistic, but it definitely fit in the confines of the song. It's kind of lush and it's dreamy. There's lots of use of reverb. The layering isn't lazy. You know, she's coming in from different angles and panning and not just doubling her voice. It's showing some real dramatic highlights to her voice while moving the song forward. To a degree, it's ambient, but there's no denying that there's a solid groove to this track. Let's move on, shall we?
When the morning came, we pieces off your vinyl shelf, 'cause we lost track of time again. Laughing with my feet in your lap, like you were my closest friend. How'd we end up on the floor anyway, you say? Your roommate's cheap ass screw top rose, that's how.
Been there.
See you every day now. And I chose you, the one I was dancing with in New York. No shoes, looked up at the sky and it was the burgundy on my t-shirt when you splashed your wine into me, and how the blood rushed into my cheeks so scarlet it was. The mark you saw on my collarbone, the rust that grew between telephones, the lips I used to call home, so scarlet it was.
It's so ominous.
When the silence came, we were shaking, blind and hazy. How the hell did we lose sight of us again? Sobbing with your head in your hands. Ain't that the way shit always ends? You were standing hollow-eyed in the hallway. Carnations you had thought were roses, that's us. I feel you no matter what. The rubies that I gave up, and I lost you, the one I was dancing with in New York. No shoes, looked up at the sky and it was Maroon on my t-shirt when it splashed your wine into me, and how the blood rushed into my cheeks so scarlet it was. The mark you saw on my collarbone, the rust that grew between telephones, the lips I used to call home, so scarlet it
That's perfect.
and awake with your memory over me. That's a real fucking legacy. Legacy. And awake with your memory over me. That's a real fucking legacy to leave. The burgundy on my t-shirt when you splashed your wine into me, and how the blood rushed into my cheeks so scarlet it was. Maroon. I saw on my collarbone, the rust that grew between telephones, the lips I used to call home, so scarlet it was. Maroon. It was maroon. It was maroon.
Okay, this is a lot to unpack, and I think that there's some interesting references to this. Okay, so I think it's obvious that sonically this album is going into a very specific direction, and I'll talk more about that in just a second, but I do want to share my first initial thoughts on hearing this song for the first time, and just kind of how it made me feel and what I think the lyrics are about before I get into other people's speculations. All right, so first off, during that stream I did where we watched all of the Midnight Madness songs come out, when this song came up, I kind of almost got some of this right.
Track 2 is called Maroon.
This is legit just about the color itself. She was big into red. She named that album Red, you know. She's just a fan of it, and it's going to be an extension of Red to a degree. Or it could possibly be an homage to Maroon 5, but I think it's going to be somehow an extension of Red because they're in the same color spectrum. So maybe it's like the next 25 minutes of All Too Well, like the extended release. That's what Maroon is. Lock that answer in. Which I'm proud of myself. I did a lot of joking around in that stream, but this makes sense. Red is a very bright, vivid, sharp color. Maroon is a version of red that seems to be a bit more faded, a bit more worn. It's just kind of dragged down just a little bit. There's more blacks introduced to it. So it does kind of go in those themes where she was talking as red, not only as a color, but as an emotion. I feel like she's doing the same thing here. She might be talking more from the same era as well, but she is mentioning New York as well. So when I think of that, I think of more 1989. But then, you know, red and 1989 are kind of in the same, you know, general time space, I suppose. So I'm assuming I'm not the first person to make this connection, and I got to hear this song one more time. I got to hear it right now to get the general feeling, the vibe from red to maroon. So I'm just going to listen to it again.
Loving him is like driving a new Maserati down a dead-end street. Faster than the wind, passionate as sin, ending so suddenly. Loving him is like trying to change your mind once you're already flying through the free fall. Like the colors in autumn so bright, just before they lose it all. Losing him was blue like I never known. Missing him was dark gray all alone. Forgetting him was like
Even that line there, like colors in autumn so bright just before they lose it all. Like maroon is a version of red losing its brightness, like it's changing this season as well. Oh my God, I think this might go deep.
trying to know somebody you never met. But loving him is red.
Such a good song too.
Loving him is red. Touching him was like realizing all you ever wanted was right there in front of you. Memorizing him was as easy as knowing all the words to your old favorite song. Fighting with him was like trying to solve a crossword and realizing there's no right answer. Regretting him was like wishing you never found out that life could be that strong. Losing him was blue like I'd never known. Missing him was dark gray all alone.
Color spectrum again.
Trying to know somebody you never met. But loving him was red. Oh, red. Burning red. Remembering him comes in flashbacks and echoes. Tell myself it's time now. Gotta let go, but moving on from him is impossible. And I still see it all in my head. You're burning red. Loving him was red. Oh, losing him was blue like I'd never known. Missing him was dark gray all alone. Forgetting him was like trying to know somebody you never met. 'Cause loving him was red. Yeah, yeah, red. Oh, burning street.
So fucking good. The Red Album is something else, and yeah, there's some similarities here in how she approaches emotions and feelings with colors, and I think that's what she's doing with Maroon. You know what? Fuck it. Let's just react to Red. Hey everybody, hello and welcome. In today's video, I'm gonna be reacting to Taylor Swift's Red Album, the Taylor's version. First song up on the album is State of Grace. Let's get into it.
You come in.
No, I'm just kidding. I'll go back to Midnights. Part of me really wants to. Part of me thinks it'd be absolutely hilarious. But no, I won't do that. Anyway, what the fuck was I talking about? Oh yeah, Maroons. Okay, so she's reminiscing about a vivid relationship that she had with somebody, and she's talking about love and loss and how great things were at some points, but then how things changed throughout the course of the relationship. The rust that grew between telephones, the lips I used to call home, so scarlet it was maroon. It is so poetic, but it's also poignant, you know? It gets to the point, it gets to the heart, the meat of the matter. It's not one of those super vague, you know, metaphorical poetry lines where you're like, oh, she could be talking about 15 different things and really talking about nothing. Like, it tells a story in such a simple, poetic way that just like immediately makes you think, oh shit, I know exactly what you're talking about. And it's just done in a very beautiful way. Now, I'm not going to make speculations as to who I believe she's talking about. If you've been around my channel for a while, you'll know that I don't like to do those sort of things. I don't like to dive too much into her personal life and who she's dating and stuff like that. I just don't want to be a part of the frenzy. But it obviously was a deep and impactful relationship, and there was some sacrifices made as well. The rubies that she gave up, I mean, I wonder what that means. Like, what sort of possible opportunities or gigs she had to do, but she chose to stay with him. Also, when she talks about burgundy, I feel like this could have a couple different meanings. It could be burgundy as in the wine, the varietal of the grape, and it could also be burgundy as in the color, which is close to maroon. But yeah, that rust between the telephones is so telling. And the sound is so dark. It's brooding, man. It's really focusing on like the introspection of the lyrics, and it's all there by design to highlight it all like a needlepoint pin on a paper. It's there with the layered vocals and these background harmonies that really just drive everything home. I mean, structurally, it's all a play on these minor chords. It's all built off of these dissonant harmonies that's supposed to drive home the fact that there is some swelling happening here. There's supposed to be like this dark force that's creeping up from within her. Or maybe she's talking about Maroon 5. Let's see what Hannah's going to say.
In this song, Taylor continues to use colors as a way of describing her feelings.
Yeah.
She hinted at the lyrics of this song a month before it was released, while accepting the Songwriter Artist of the Decade Award at the Nashville Songwriter Awards 2022. I have, in my mind, secretly established genre categories for lyrics I write. 3 of them, to be exact. They are effectively titled Quill Lyrics, Fountain Pen Lyrics, and Glitter Gel Pen Lyrics. And
I remember this. In full. We just watched this this acceptance speech. I didn't pull any references from the pen thing though.
Glitter Gel Pen Lyrics. I came up with these categories based on what writing tool I imagined having in my hand when I scribbled it down, figuratively. I don't actually have a quill anymore. I broke it once when I was mad. Say most of my lyrics fall into the fountain pen style. It means a modern storyline or references with a poetic twist, taking a common phrase and flipping its meaning. Basically trying to paint a vivid picture of a situation down to the chipped paint on the door frame and the incensed dust on the vinyl shelf. Placing yourself and whoever is listening right there in the room where it all happened. I really recommend you watch this speech, so I'll put the link at the end of this document. I will not even try to give you my interpretation of this song, because I can't really decide for one, and I know there are a lot of people out there who stan this song, and they will be much better at interpreting this. All I can say is that Taylor is referencing the one I was dancing with in New York, which ties back to, for example, Cornelia Street from Lover in Witch. Back to, for example, Cornelia Street from Lover in Witch. She wrote, years ago, we're just inside Vertical Bar that became my religion. Listen, Vertical Bar, sacred new beginnings Vertical Bar that became...
I can't do it with the AI anymore. Oh my God. All right. Okay, so she's talking about Cornelia Street now?
As if the street lights pointed in an arrowhead leading us home. And I hope the kind of heartbreak time could never mend. I never walk Cornelia Street again.
Maybe Autumn to Red.
I get mystified by how this city screams your
All right, to summarize what she's saying here, it sounds like there might be some sort of connection from Cornelia Street from Lover, which she's talking about being barefoot in the kitchen, Scared New Beginnings, and such. And I just re-listened to Cornelia Street, and no, I don't think so. I don't think so. Maybe I'm wrong too, but I don't think so. You know, because she's talked about being barefoot, even Hannah says it here, about being barefoot in different combinations. So this song could be about different relationships. Yeah. I'm not going to speculate on who's it about. She's barefoot all the time. She doesn't believe in shoes. This is one fact everybody knows about Taylor Swift. She fucking hates shoes. We all know it. All right, this is driving me crazy. I found an actual quote from Taylor about this, possibly. Midnights is about all of those nights throughout my life, like the things that kept me up, memories you keep going back to. Yeah, I was told this. It's kind of like a collage of, you know, past regrets and stuff, and it's like the ghosts of her past, like 13 ghosts. So this one was a memory, just something I wrote from a long time ago, but it took place in New York. God damn it, Taylor. She's giving me no content. Nobody knows. Nobody knows. Nobody knows. All right. Nobody knows. All right. So bottom line is that we don't know. We don't know what relationship it's from. We don't know what exactly happened. We just know that things fizzled out. What once was red is now maroon. But what I can say for sure is that I enjoyed Maroon more than Lavender Haze.
I have this thing where I get older, but just never wiser. Midnights become my afternoons. When my depression works the graveyard shift, all of the people I've ghosted stand there in the room.
What?
I should not be left to my own devices. They come with prices and vices. I end up in crisis. I wake up screaming from dreaming. One day I'll watch as you're leaving, 'cause you got tired of my scheming. For the last time,
It's so critical.
it's me. Hi, I'm the problem, it's me. At tea time, everybody agrees.
I think I've heard this too.
I'll stare directly at the sun, but never in the mirror. It must be exhausting, always rooting for the anti-hero. Sometimes I feel like everybody is a sexy baby, and I'm a monster on the hill. Too big to hang out, slowly lurching toward your favorite city. Pierced through the heart, but never killed. Did you hear my covert narcissism? Like disguises altruism, like some kind of consciousness. I wake up screaming from dreaming. One day I'll watch as you're leaving, and life will lose all its meaning. For the last time, it's me. Hi, I'm the problem, it's me. At
Why is it so catchy?
time, everybody agrees. I'll stare directly at the sun, but never in the mirror. It must be exhausting, always rooting for the anti-hero.
This is the part I think I remember, the bridge.
I have this dream, my daughter-in-law kills me for the money. She thinks I left them in the will. The family gathers around and reads it, and then someone screams out, she's laughing up at us from hell. It's me. I am the problem, it's me. It's me. I am the problem, it's me. It's me. Hi. Everybody agrees, everybody agrees.
What is she doing?
It's me. Hi. I'm the problem, it's me. I'm the problem, it's me. Time. Everybody agrees. Everybody agrees. I'll stare directly at the sun, but never in the mirror. It must be exhausting, always rooting for the anti-hero.
I mean, a lot of her lyrics are incredibly reflective. It ties to almost every body of work that she's ever done. But I don't think I've heard a more self-critical song than this to date. Before I begin too, I should also preference that I think I may have heard this or a version of this at some point. That bridge in particular sounds incredibly familiar to me. So this is one of those songs I really feel like we should go line by line because so much is said in this. And you know what's crazy about it too is there's so much contrast to what's actually being said to the sonic fidelity of it all. Okay, so she even starts off here by admitting she doesn't learn from some of her past mistakes, and she can't sometimes see the forest through the trees, I suppose. I feel like there's been a lot of growth and a lot of learning and a lot of change in her. So this isn't something I necessarily agree with, but obviously she knows herself better than I do. Moving on here, the next line is very important because it states, "Midnights become my afternoons." Midnights become her afternoons. Something with people with depression, sleep schedules get fucked up, and sometimes you're just up all night and you sleep all day and you fall into that cycle. So I think that's what she's talking about here. And she's now saying, for the first time, she's talking about depression, and she's using the word depression. It's not something you really want to throw around, it's not something people say, oh, I have depression. They don't have it. It's not like this glamorous mental health problem. I don't know. It's definitely not a trendy one, and for the right reasons. So when she's saying my depression, I gotta believe she means it. I gotta believe that she's talking about the real thing. I mean, she is great with words. She's great with poetry, and she could use whatever she wants for a word to depict a certain emotion of feeling isolated and feeling reminded of your previous bad decisions. But she does use depression, and this is the first time I've heard her openly talk about some of these issues, and not just this fleeting thought or whatever, but an actual issue that she has. She admits that she should not be left to her own devices. They came with prices and vices. She's admitting, again, kind of the first line here where she gets older but never wiser, and she just always ends up with the same mistake. She ends up back in crisis. I think the tale as old as time is supposed to be like, Taylor, this is my thing, I suppose. I think that's why that's there. It's kind of a little nod and a wink. And the thing that often ties together with depression is anxiety and these thoughts that everybody's going to leave, everybody hates you, you're not bringing anything of value to the world, that like you're just a stain on society, and everyone eventually is going to figure it out and they're going to move away and get away from you. And that's what this is kind of telling me down here. She wakes up screaming from all of the dreaming, and I think dreaming is being used as her state of mind, that she's not actually sleeping, she's not actually awake. It's a feeling of numbness. One day I'll watch you as you're leaving, kind of preparing yourself mentally. I think it's something people with this sort of thing have. They kind of prepare themselves for the worst. So like when it does happen, you're not as caught off and you're not as devastated from it. So she's essentially saying, I'm just preparing myself for this. I know it's eventually going to happen. It's just what's going to happen. And then down over here, we have the hook, the actual message of the song, the thing that people are going to be repeating over and over. And this is also something that sounds kind of familiar to me. It's me. Hi, I'm the problem. It's me. She knows, but she also knows that she's going to fall to her own vices, that she's not going to learn or become wise from her mistakes. Now, this is something new to me because I'm not a very trendy guy, and I often don't understand lingo of young people. Spilling the tea is one that I recently found, and apparently that's like the gossip. So she's not actually drinking tea here. I'm sure everybody fucking knows this, but it was new to me. Like, sip the tea, spill the tea. Like, why is everybody drinking tea? What kind of tea? Are we going full caffeinated, or are we going to slip up with some chamomile and chill out? And the next line over here is incredibly telling as well. It says, I'll stare directly at the sun, but never in the mirror. And this, I feel like it could mean a couple different things. Staring at the sun is a self-destructive task. You're going to burn your eyes out. It's going to hurt. But it can also mean like, I'll be in the sun. I'll enjoy the warmth. I'll get myself some, vitamin D, but she never stares in the mirror. So here's the thing. With people with this sort of thing, depression, mirrors are difficult. I have an issue staring in the mirror, looking in the mirror. I don't like it. Even when I brush my teeth in the morning and at night, I put toothpaste on and I walk out into the living room and I brush them out there and just look at the TV. Something I've always done. I don't really like mirrors. I don't like looking at myself. I can go days without looking at myself, and I'm totally fine with it. I always have been. And even editing or looking up over at a monitor or something that's kind of highlighting what I'm doing and framing and stuff, like I look at myself. I'm like, what are you doing? I should be in radio, not in video. What am I doing? And then she swings it back around to everybody else's perspective, and she has some empathy for everybody because she's admitted it. It's me. I'm the problem. It's me. And she says, it must be exhausting always rooting for the anti-hero. This is something I feel like is incredibly telling, anti-hero. And I think if there was something that could describe what Taylor Swift is from a general perspective, I think it kind of is an anti-hero. Now, there's a massive group of people that rightfully love Taylor Swift for what she's done, for what she's shared, for her music, for what she's done for society, for her philanthropy work. Like, there's plenty of reasons to enjoy her and like her, but there's also a huge group of people that are rooting against her and that don't like anything she does, and they manipulate everything that she says because for the last over a decade, almost 2 decades at this point, she's been on top of the charts. She's been leading the way. She's been the Goliath of the industry for everybody to try and overtake, and nobody has been able to do it. You know, she rules the charts, she rules the news, she rules these tours. Like if Taylor's doing it, it's going to be massive and it's going to be a huge success. And I think that causes some disdain with people, you know, with other fandoms, with just people that are sick and tired of hearing her name. And you know, I'd see it even like in the NFL now, like in that whole crowd, you know, and I get it to a degree, you know, I understand. It's on the news. Oh, hey, the Chiefs are playing in this state, and it's all over the news. Oh, will Taylor be in the stadium today? And everyone's like, why the fuck do we care if Taylor Swift's there watching football? We're all there to watch football too. And the news cycle gets revolved around what she's doing and not about the actual activity of the sport. And that upsets some people that are obviously big fans of the sport. So I understand it to a degree. I don't think that she's an anti-hero or she's a bad person or, you know, that she or agree with any of what she's saying up over here. But I do think it is self-reflective and self-critical in a way that can sometimes be healthy to a degree. So if you're not absorbing it, if you're not living in that space, if you're not in that dream, if your midnights aren't the afternoon every single day, there is some benefits to being critical of yourself. Then we move down over here, and I have no idea what the fuck is going on. Sometimes I feel like everybody is a sexy baby. This is the strangest line I have ever analyzed from Taylor Swift, and I have no idea what to make of it. I guess it's got to be paired together with the second line here to make any sort of sense. You can't just break it down like that. Okay, maybe she's getting older and seeing younger people. It's like, oh, they're dressing sexily, or they look sexy for media standards, and you look at them, you're like, oh, that's just a child. Like, I do that. I understand it. Like, I see, a 21, 25-year-old girl or whatever, and I'm like, oh yeah, okay, you know, it's a very pretty girl and everything, but like in the back of my head, I'm like, it's kind of a child, you know, like I don't know, it's just I'm so old, you know, like I'm out of the loop. But when I was 20 years old, I'm like, oh, this is fucking hot. But like now that I'm older, I'm like, that's a kid. I don't know. So she's saying, I'm the monster on the hill. So maybe she's seeing the change. She's seeing a new generation of people kind of come up and the new heavyweights in the industry, possibly, and she's turning into this monster on the hill. I don't know. I'm not exactly sure. I think this can be taken a few different ways, and if anybody knows for sure, I'd be interested to hear your theories on that. But yeah, she says that she's the monster on the hill, too big to hang out, slowly lurching towards your favorite city, pierced through the heart but never killed, possibly about all of the media and speculations trying to take her down or, you know, defame her in some kind of way. And these next couple lines are easily some of my favorite lyrics from Taylor. It is so brutally honest. It is so incredibly raw. It is so transparent, and I don't even know how to. It's such a move that is like I don't even know how to put this into words. Did you hear my covert narcissism I disguised as altruism? Look, it's a ballsy move, and it breaks the fourth wall, not only in this song, but in her entire catalog. Oh my God, there's self-reflective, and then there's this, and it's a different level, man. And she goes back to reminiscing about losing what she loves, and, you know, life is going to be completely meaningless at that point. And as we move on towards the end of the song, things take a wild shift here. These lyrics, I think wild is the best way to describe them. I have this dream. My daughter-in-law kills me for the money. She thinks I left them all in the will. Oh my God. It's so fucking raw, and it's so real. There's no blinders. There's no filter to any of this. It is what it is. She's in this space and she's bringing us in. The family gathers around and reads it, and someone screams out, she's laughing at us up from hell. Again, talking more about, you know, touching back into like Lavender Haze a bit, and about, you know, society pressures and not being able to trust anybody, and everybody monetizing every moment of your life and what that must feel like. She kind of explains further into this song. And I want to say this is such an unhinged and wild thought to have, but I got to remember you're thinking about it from the perspective of somebody that's worth $1 billion fucking dollars and somebody that's used to everybody using them and monetizing them in any way they possibly can. I've never heard anything quite like this from Taylor, and honestly, I am shocked. Let's see what Hannah's got to say.
This song played on the radio a lot.
Oh, it did?
Anti-Hero was the lead single of this album.
Okay, that is kind of blowing my mind. All right, that's I guess why it sounds kind of familiar. Never pieced together that it was Taylor, and it's wild that this song is the lead single. What the hell? Being a Taylor Swift fan is the most chaotic thing ever. You really have no idea what you're about to get into. Like, I'm just imagining, because I don't have to imagine. I've lived it. Going from Folklore, Evermore, all of this, not knowing what to expect sonically, and then this being the lead single off of the album. Like, is everybody okay?
She talks about her fears and even the kind of nightmares she has. I stare directly at the sun, but never in the mirror, might refer to her struggles with an eating disorder.
Oh, really?
In the music video, she had a scene of her standing on a bathroom scale that just says fat. But
Hey,
she
spoiler
had to
alert.
cut the scene due to harsh criticism about it being fat shaming.
Okay, not exactly a spoiler, I guess, if they cut it, but hey, no spoilers, come on.
personally don't think the scene was problematic, but who am I to judge? It was removed and now just shows her standing on the scale and looking disappointed. The line, sometimes I feel like everybody is a sexy baby vertical bar and I'm a monster on the hill, also continues to confuse people.
Okay, good.
I think she says baby to either hint at an old joke from the movie 30 Rock, or she refers to people calling their partner baby or babe. Either way.
Oh, I get it. Okay, all right. It's like the term of endearment kind of play on words thing. I don't know. Bold choice, but this entire song is bold, so all right.
Either way. In comparison, she seems to not feel like a sexy baby, but like she is too big to hang out, which can mean her literal height of 5 foot 11 inches cap.
Not that tall.
1.80 meters, or her status in society, which makes it hard for her to go out with friends and hang out without paparazzi around.
Yeah.
I think the song contains a lot of personal lines, and it seems unusual to have something that personal as the lead single, but it also fits the album well. And at least musically, you might miss the deeper meaning completely if you don't listen to the lyrics.
Okay, so that explains why maybe some of this song seemed familiar to me. I probably heard it in passing if it was played in the radio all the time or something, but never pieced together that it was Taylor. Never thought more than a second about the song or paid attention to lyrics. And I'm going to be honest with you guys. Generally, I don't pay attention to lyrics. I have spent a good chunk of my life not really caring about the poetic nature of music. A lot of it has always just come off to me as indulgent and kind of lame. You know, it's not something I've connected with. The vocals and lyrics, you know, very rarely is it something that blows me away to the point where I'm like, okay, you're doing something different. But this as a lead single is absolutely wild. But sonically, it makes sense. The song is hook-driven. It has a memorable chorus. Even the structure of the guitar, it's following a formula that I think we're all pretty familiar with. It's used quite often in music, but again, that's swinging back things around to being a memorable chorus by having something that's so familiar to us. It just makes it like that much more catchy. All of the sound design and synths are tied together with these bright fluttering sounds. It follows basic arpeggiated melodies. And it's all anchored by that familiar yet rhythmic guitar progression. Now, vocally, we're taking a bit of a shift here as well. I was expecting to stay on the same theme of effects used up until this point, but things have gotten a little clearer. Up until now, and I know I haven't talked about it much because I was expecting to talk about it in this song and talk about how it all tied together, but there's been a good amount of vocal processing on her lyrics. It sounded almost synthetic, and that's due to the vocoder that she's using and some slight processing. But that's not the case on Antihero, because the processing on this track is very clear, and I think it's done that way by design. Everything we've heard so far sounded slightly synthetic to a degree. There's a slight modulation, there's a slight curvature to her voice that makes it sound a little bit more robotic or a little bit warmer to fit within the confines of this synthetic landscape that we're kind of traveling down. And even though sonically we're still kind of in the same place, I mean, albeit we have guitar and the beat is a little bit more energetic and things are a touch brighter, we're still within that same basic foundation sonically. I think losing that vocoder, losing that slight modulation is supposed to add a little bit more clarity to this track, and it's supposed to feel a little bit more intimate and raw. But at first glance, the whole thing reads like this polished, slightly energetic, upbeat pop tune, but at its core, it's the furthest thing from it. And honestly, I don't know how I feel about this song. On one hand, I respect the raw honesty. I respect the vulnerability. I respect getting to the point of an artist to tear yourself apart and be truly vulnerable with people. But on the other hand, I'm thinking, did you take it too far? Did we cross that line? And I'm almost even mad at myself for thinking that. I don't know, man. I'm at a loss of words for this one. It's raw, dude. It's just absolutely raw. This intro is like very cinematic. It's like setting the stage for a movie. You know what it reminds me of? And take no offense to this, please, but it reminds me of like those Hallmark Christmas movies. Have you guys ever seen those? It's the same plot. It's the same story from start to finish. They're all the fucking same. But what it reminds me of is like this busy woman from the city coming home to visit her family in her quaint little town. And she's got a coffee in one hand and her laptop. She's carrying bags and her hair is slightly askew, but it doesn't matter because she's a boss woman, you know? So she goes back home to her quiet little town and, you know, she's arriving and the sound reminds me of like a slight snow in the air, you know, that's melting on your face. And she's remembering the magic of growing up there. And then she somehow she bumps into this dude, this other guy. He's not a business guy, though. He's from the town. He's got himself a jean jacket on. He's got work boots on. And he lives that quiet, simple life. And she looks at him and she's almost in disgust that he's even in her way. But slowly but surely, they're going to learn to find love together. Oh, it's got Lana Del Rey, too. Oh, and it's track fucking 5 too. Okay, all right. All right, let's pay attention here. I don't know. I don't know if I can handle more after Antihero. What is she going to give us for track 5? I'm sorry to interrupt the video, but this is Jim from the future, and I have to clarify a couple things before we move forward. The first thing is I'm going to refer to track 4, Snow on the Beach, as track 5 about 1 billion times. I'm sorry, I don't know what to say. Apparently, I just didn't understand how numbers or progressions work. Also, Taylor Swift has officially been uncryogenically frozen, and she's apparently working on a 75-minute version of All Too Well. Enjoy the video, and I'm sorry that I don't know how to count.
One night, a few moons ago, I saw flecks of what could have been lights, but it might just have been you passing by unbeknownst to me. Life is emotionally abusive, and time can't stop me quite like you did, and my flight was awful. Thanks for asking, I'm unglued thanks to you. And it's like snow at the beach, weird but fucking beautiful, flying in a dream, stars by the pocketful. You wanting me tonight feels impossible, but it's coming down, no sound, it's all around, like snow on the beach. Like snow on the beach. Like snow on the beach. Like snow. This scene feels like what I once saw on a screen. I searched Aurora Borealis green. I've never seen someone lit from within, blurring out my periphery. My smile is like I won a contest, and to hide that would be so dishonest. And it's fine to fake it till you make it, till you do, till it's true. Now it's like snow at the beach, weird but fucking beautiful, flying in a dream, stars by the pocketful. monsters from another planet. Now I'm all for you like Janet. Can this be a real thing? Can it? Are we falling like snow at the beach? Weirdly fucking beautiful, flying in a dream. Stars by the pocketful. You wanting me tonight feels impossible, but it's coming down. No sound, it's all around like snow on the beach. Like snow on the beach. Like snow on the beach. Like snow, but it's coming down. No sound, it's all around like snow on the beach. It's coming down, it's coming down. Like snow on the beach. It's coming down, it's coming down, it's coming down, it's coming down. It's coming down, it's coming down, it's coming down, it's coming down. Now it's coming down, it's coming down, it's coming down.
Okay, so was like Lana Del Rey just in the room or something? Was she just like hanging out on the couch in the studio and she was just there? And Taylor's like, "You want to be on one of my tracks?" And she's like, "Yeah, but I don't want to go in the booth or anything. I'm just going to hang out over here on the couch." I tried listening for her. I couldn't really find her. Possibly some layering here. You know, she's got a pretty distinguishable tone. And even though Taylor's kind of, again, singing in that, like, I don't want to say monotone, but more like mid-range where it's like showing a good amount of bass to her voice through some of it. Because there's good contrast here with the inflections when she goes higher, when she said, "Don't coming down." There was no real play off that. There was no real harmony. Unless I'm just completely missing something, or this is just a mistake where she's not supposed to be on it. Probably was there in the layering somewhere, but it was difficult to tell. Okay, so off that intro, I thought we were going in a completely different direction, and I thought it was going to be something that I probably wasn't going to be a big fan of and would have been a skip for me. But honestly, so far off of everything on the album that I've heard, this is my favorite. It's probably a controversial thing because I don't feel like this is a true track 5 from Taylor. It's not a song that breaks you. You know what it is? This song is perfectly explained with this line here. It's weird, but fucking beautiful. I like the structure. I like how things fall apart. I like how we go back down to nothing. We've got processing. We've got this beat. We have like this glimmery, shiny guitar or synth sound, and it builds and it builds, and there's some slight cinematics, and then it drops down to just that voice, and it feels so quiet and so intimate, almost like you're alone at the beach with the snow coming down. And then even the guy that she's with, like, it sounds like she's got a pretty solid dude here, you know, because his eyes are up on another planet. He's looking for UFOs. He's my kind of guy. He knows what's up. The truth is out there, my friends. All right, Hannah, give me the lowdown. What is this all about?
Is your first question, where was Lana? Because that is what most people wanted to know after listening to this song for the first time.
And yeah, it was my first question. Where the fuck is she?
Taylor said that she is a big fan of Lana Del Rey, and I think their voices fit very well together.
Are you sure? I don't know. This might be a Taylor. This might be a power move here. This might be Taylor being like, "Yeah, you can be in the album," and then just like mute her track.
But understandably, some people were left disappointed after this song and Lana's small role in it. That's exactly why they went into the studio again and recorded another version of this song.
So they just redid it? Also featuring more Lana Del Rey. That's fucking hilarious, dude. That is fucking hilarious. Okay, no, I was joking around a little bit. There's obviously some highlights, and Lana was playing a supporting role in this, but I thought for sure she would have, utilized that talent a little bit more. Wow.
More Lana Del Rey for one of the other Midnight versions. To me, the song seems to be about being in love with someone and feeling like it's so unbelievable, but the other person loves you too. I don't even dare to wish it, or as I believe Taylor sang live, I don't even dare to risk it. Adds to my interpretation. Also, now I'm all for you like Janet references Janet Jackson's song, All For You from 2001.
You seem uneasy, want to approach me, throw me a line.
Yeah, I remember that song. It's pretty good.
Now that I looked it up, it makes sense that I don't know the song. I wasn't even born there, XD.
Thank you, Cowboy Hannah. All right, so we got an actual quote about this song. Let's see what Taylor's actually going to say.
Snow on the beach is about falling in love with someone at the same time as they're falling in love with you. Sort of in this cataclysmic, fated moment where you realize someone feels exactly the same way that you feel. And you're kind of looking around going, wait, is this real? Is this a dream? Kind of like it would be if you were to see snow falling on a beach. Taylor Swift.
Okay, so it's definitely not that quintessential, devastating track 5 that we're all used to, but I appreciate the change in pace. To one degree or another, this album has been very ambient, but on this one in particular, I really enjoyed the sonic symmetry of it all. It's just some of those contrasts that I really like. I mean, it's dreamy in a way that it utilizes the electronic and organic elements very well together. I like the organic piano and the plucks of the strings mixed together with the pads, and that heavy, almost overused reverb really creates this sense of atmosphere to the whole track. But it's those blending of those two main components, you know, the electronic components and the organic components working together in harmony. But the best part of this track, in my opinion, is that delicate harmonic structure and those slight inflections in her voice, that overall mostly used midtones, but then the sharper highs coming up just for the bridge or for some of the accent melody values. It's simple, but it's touching. And I'll tell you what, if you've never been on the beach when it's snowing, I recommend trying it out. There's nobody there, and it's a very surreal feeling. You know, oftentimes when we're at the beach in the summer, there's so much noise and distraction and everything. But when you're bundled up and you're at the beach and the sand is just a little bit harder, it's not breaking apart, and you know, it's so quiet, and it's almost somber in a certain sense, but it's definitely something to behold. So if you live near a beach, I recommend sometime in the winter, head on out there, check it out. It's definitely an experience. Hey, so guess what? Snow on the Beach is not track 5. It's actually this next one. I got messed up. I'm listening to too much Janet Jackson in the Red album. I'm all confused and whatnot. We are now approaching track 5, and let's see what happens here.
Summer went away, still the yearning stays. I play it cool with the best of them. I wait patiently, he's gonna notice me. It's okay, we're the best of friends. Anyway, I hear it in your voice. You're smoking with your boys. I touch my phone as it fits your face. I didn't choose this town, I dream of getting out. There's just one who could make me stay. All my days, from sprinkler splashes to fireplace ashes, I waited ages to see you there. I searched the party of better bodies just to learn that you never cared. You're on your own, kid, you always have been. I see the great escape, so long Daisy May. I picked the petals, he loves me not. Something different bloomed, writing in my room. I play my songs in the parking lot. I'll run away from sprinkler splashes to fireplace ashes. I called a taxi to take me there. I searched the party of better bodies just to learn that my dreams aren't rare. You're on your own, kid, you always have been. From sprinkler splashes to fireplace ashes, I gave my blood, sweat and tears for this. I hosted parties
Okay, this one. Okay, this feels like a flashback almost. This feels like a collection of thoughts. It doesn't feel like it's one specific moment. It feels like she's almost moving through time here, talking about a bunch of different instances and growing as a person. Even like in her tone in the beginning, you know, it sounds very young and youthful, and it's very thin. There's not too much compression, and there's almost no effect. And it's just, I don't want to say flat in a bad way, like it's off key or it's just truly flat, but there's no real oomph to it. There's no processing. And it reminds me of the days from her first album, her first like approach to music. And there was processing on that to a degree for certain, you know, harmonic effect and stuff in the choruses and in the catchy parts of the song with just some layering and doubling. But this feels thin to a degree where it just reminds me of like that soft and simple innocence. And she talks about it in the lyrics here too. And it just seems like she's growing and learning as things go along. And obviously, I'm reminded of that speech that we all just watched. If you haven't seen it, it's available right now on Patreon. It's the last video I just posted. We went over all of these speeches and whatnot. But that was kind of like one of our main hooks from the NYU acceptance speech is, hey, it's the most terrifying thing, but at least, and it's also like the most gratifying thing. It's a mixture between like fear, anxiety, self-doubt, and empowerment. And it's the growth structure. It's the building factor of these are all the things that happen. These are all the things that build your life up and the journey that we all go on. And as much as it sucks to deal with, you know, all these things like fear, isolation, anxiety, you know, self-doubt and everything, they are cobblestones to our soul. They are the things that build the foundation of the building that you are, or the road that you are. It's really the journey. And that's exactly what this song feels like. It feels like a journey of her being young and, you know, anxious and worried about, you know, better bodies at the party and comparing herself to others and realizing that her dream isn't anything that's unique. And, you know, it's going to take a lot of hard work and ambition to get there. She plays some homage to some like early points in her career. She says, you know, how talking about writing in her room and about how coming to the songwriting process and creating this kind of art, you know, it takes a lot of introspection and a lot of isolation, and you know, that fire turns to ashes. So I think this is a story through time, and it just like the sprinkler splashes in the fireplace ashes, like that line, like to me, it just reminds me of like a little kid playing outside in a sprinkler. And then to her as an adult, you know, writing by the fireplace and the fireplace slowly going out as she's still working. And she also talks about some body issues she has here as well. I starved my body, and she thought that she'd be saved by the perfect kiss. And I think this is a thing that she runs into pretty often, you know, with new relationships and everything, from what I've seen and gathered just from the artistic approach of her music and the themes that she sings about, that she thinks that there's this Romeo and Juliet, you know, kind of quality and this riding off into the sunset kind of thing, and it's all going to be sweet and hunky-dory. And not that she's looking for somebody to save her, but she's looking for somebody to be safe with. And it's been this constant journey that she's gone on, and, you know, trial and error. And I mean, that's just life, you know. Nobody finds the best person right away. Nobody finds, you know, their person right away. It's trial and error for a little while. You've got no reason to be afraid. You're on your own, kid. You can face this. So it ends with like this empowerment thing. You've always been on your own. There's never, ever been a safety net. You know, everything can be stripped away from you at a moment's notice. You've just had this false illusion of safety this entire time. And now it's time to just kind of grab the world by its horns and do what you need to do. But sonically, there is a slight melancholic angle to all of this, with the minor chords and the building of the tension and the relief in the song itself, and the pulsating synthetics that kind of build within the song, and that driving and almost brooding just, you know, kick, and then the rolling of the snare every once in a while for dramatic effect. It just feels like you're galloping along. It feels like you're kind of like you're coming into yourself, but that there is this moment of somewhat dread, but mostly fear. All right, let's see what Hannah's gonna say.
Welcome to track 5 and the reason for all the friendship bracelets.
Oh, really?
I really love this song, especially because it isn't just sad.
Okay, so it's because of this song that everybody has those friendship bracelets. I even have a couple. Some people sent me some.
It gives hope in the end and switches the perspective from being lonely to being able to face this, because you have been able to overcome so many things on your own before.
Yeah.
Taylor seems to speak to someone saying, you've got no reason to be afraid. And that's,
us,
to me, the most important message of this song, in which she again comments on her eating disorder. I hosted parties and starved my body. You could also say this song might be the reason Travis Kelce took his shot, making Taylor a friendship bracelet with his number on it.
Interesting. So this might have been that inspiration from Travis to take a shot with Taylor. Okay, I don't know the whole story about that, but it sounds like he made her a friendship bracelet and that worked. So many dudes out there feeling stupid right now. They're like, that's all it took. I could have just made her a bracelet, you know?
He wanted it comfortable, I wanted that pain. He wanted a bride, I was making my own name, chasing that fame. He stayed the same, all of me changed like midnight.
There's so much modulation.
My town was a wasteland, full of cages, full of fences, pageant queens and big pretenders. But for some it was paradise. My boy was a montage, a slow motion love potion, jumping off things in the ocean. It broke his heart cause he was nice. He was sunshine, I was midnight.
He wanted it comfortable, I wanted that pain. He wanted a bride, I was making my own name, chasing that fame. He stayed the same, all of me changed like midnight.
It came like a postcard, picture perfect, shiny family, holiday, peppermint candy. But for him, it's every day. So I peer through a window, a deep portal, time travel, all the love we unravel. And the life I gave away, cause he was sunshine, I was midnight pain. He wanted it comfortable, I wanted that pain. He wanted a bride, I was making my own name, chasing that fame. He stayed the same, all of me changed like midnight.
He wanted it comfortable, I wanted that pain. He wanted a bride, I was making my own name, chasing that fame. He stayed the same, all of me changed like midnight.
I guess sometimes we all get just what we wanted, just what we wanted. And he never thinks of me, except when I'm on TV. I guess sometimes we all get some kind of haunted, some kind of haunted. And I never think of him, except on midnights like this, midnights like this.
Okay, well, that was different. That was interesting. A lot of fun happening on the production side of things, but we'll get into that in a second. Let's just get to the meat and potatoes of what this is. Okay, so Midnight Rain to me, it sounds like she's reminiscing on this early relationship she had, probably in the beginning of her career somewhere, if I had to guess, because she talks about building her name and trying to, you know, become famous and everything. So I'm assuming she's talking about a very early relationship in her career. But it does sound like the timeline of this is at least during some of her early success. And she talks about this town, this wasteland filled with pageant queens and big pretenders. So to me, it sounds kind of like very Hollywood and kind of like a fake town filled with celebrities. And I don't know, I'm just imagining some kind of like Hollywood-esque type of town. So Taylor's expressing some disdain for this fake town, but she does mention that for some, you know, it was a paradise. So whoever this guy that she's talking about, she's not painting him as some sort of monster or anything. He sounds like a pretty decent guy for the most part. He wants to settle down. He just wants to have a wife. And it sounds like he likes this town that they're in. He's like living his best life and he's happy that he's dating Taylor and just wants to marry her. But Taylor's just not about that, at least to this stage. So Taylor says, I broke his heart because he was nice. He was sunshine and I was midnight rain. So now looking back at this relationship from a bird's eye view, seeing everything that has happened in this relationship, she seems to be realizing, hey, this guy might have been a viable guy for me, but I broke his heart because I just wasn't in the right place. Taylor continues to admit that there's absolutely nothing wrong with this guy. This is one of my favorite lines of the whole song. It came like a postcard, picture perfect, shiny family, holiday, peppermint candy. It immediately brings you back to home. You're imagining that candy bowl at home. You're imagining those peppermint candies during the holiday. Like, it's just, she does a good job of like narrating and building scenes and like world building in her song. And even though she's reminiscing kind of on a reminisce, we're inceptioning this bitch here, it at least still paints that picture, and it has some great world building within this musing thought. All right, so now we're moving on to the sci-fi angle of this song, which is pretty interesting. She starts looking out the window like a deep portal, and she's time traveling through her mind. Pretty wild. But again, these are musing. She's looking at this relationship from a bird's eye view, and she's bouncing all over her mind, and she's weaving through her thoughts. All right, so as the song continues and the song is starting to open up and the sonic palette starts to swell, we're reintroduced to some themes that we had previous. And I understand it to a certain degree, having that rhyming aspect to it, but there's one line that's reintroduced to the song that really stood out to me, and it's "He stayed the same." And here's the thing, man, I don't necessarily believe that's a bad thing. I think that's just who this guy is. He's a montage. He's happy in this town. He's happy with his life. He wants things simplified. So whoever this guy is, I don't think he's a bad guy. He's happy where he is. He's happy with his life. He likes his town. He's happy with this relationship, but there's something swelling inside of Taylor. There's something she wants more. She's thinking about, you know, all these happy memories and everything, and her at that place in that relationship, peering out the window and all the questions she has, the what ifs of life. Taylor says, I guess sometimes we all get just what we wanted. So I can imagine Taylor up at midnight just thinking, well, I guess I got what I wanted. You know, I got that pain. You know, I got the fame. I got everything that I was going for. And it sounds like this guy is the same. He never changed. He doesn't really even think about Taylor anymore because he's happy in life. He would have been happy with Taylor, but he's also happy without her. And he only thinks about her when she's on TV. Okay, so we got to the next part in this song. I got kind of upset. I was a little angry. I was a little defensive to a degree, and I wasn't thinking about the full context of this song. And now reading through it and absorbing the entirety of the song and knowing how this song ends, it just took me a couple seconds to grasp onto. So that line is, he never thinks of me except when I'm on TV. So my initial gut reaction was, oh, he's only thinking about her when he sees that she's doing well, and he wants to take something from her and, you know, associate himself with her so he can get some sort of, you know, fame fall off or something. But then I'm immediately reminded, I'm like, wait, this guy's not that guy. He's totally fine. He wants that quiet, simple life. He doesn't really care about that. And the only reason he's thinking about her when she's on TV is because he's not thinking about her in any context except for when he's forced to see her excelling at what she does. It's just funny how her deliveries sometimes can just pique something in you, and you just immediately get on the defensive until you think about the broader perspective of it all. So she continues on to admit that she's haunted. She knows that there's something wrong here, and it's not necessarily from this person. She saw this good guy. She saw this perfect family. She was brought to this holiday place with peppermint candy, and for some reason she's wondering, why wasn't I happy there? Why did I need this pain? Why couldn't I just embrace that comfort? So as we approach the climax of the song, as everything comes to an end, Taylor is sitting there and she's thinking, well, hey, you know what? This guy's not often on my mind. I'm not thinking about him on the day-to-day, but every once in a while on midnights like this, he does cross my mind. It makes you wonder why she might be thinking about this guy at midnight and reminiscing of this relationship. Is it because she's confused as to how she felt when everything was so perfect and she couldn't find happiness in it, and she had to aggressively seek pain when comfortability was right there? Now, sonically, this is a lot of fun, and there's a good amount of experimentation going on in this track, and especially with the vocals. You know, there's heavy use of the vocoder and pitch bending and certain modulations. Now, another band that I deeply respect and love the work that they do is a band called 21 Pilots, and they do this quite often. You probably heard it and you've never even thought about it, but they have these modulations, these layers in their voices that either bring their voice down a key or up a key or down an octave or up an octave, and modulate things on the edges of the frequency, and it just kind of, it sounds like you're falling asleep, like it's a montage of like your voice getting deeper and you drifting off into the sunset or whatever. It's used a lot in like cinema and whatnot, but when it's used in music like this, it can be fun. When she's using these modulated tones on her voice, it sounds like she's talking from the perspective of the person that she was, and since it's so muddy and there's not much clarity to it, and like it seems like there's just like not a clear distinguished person there, you know, due to the tone. It's not in one specific key or octave. There's so much pitch bending and shifting on her vocals. I think that's supposed to signify that that's the person that she was when she was in that place in her life, when she was in that relationship where she could not be happy even though the perfect thing was presented to her. And outside of the rhythmic vocal elements and those vocal modulations that do enhance and add to the melody, the essential rhythm section is tied down to these deep-rooted, darker and wider bass synth notes, and there's this echoing and deep beat underneath it that seems to kind of phase in and out of your ear. It's a great use of frequency because we have so much low coming from the bass and the modulations and the vocals, but that hi-hat and how it like sizzles in and out of your ear, it just adds like the perfect amount of atmosphere. If everything was just super bassy the entire way through, there'd be nothing to ground you. There'd be no actual aspect of depth. You need like that one shift in frequency that kind of ties the whole thing together. I like it because the whole thing plays out like some dream sequence. It truly feels like reminiscing. It feels like we're looking back in time. We're peering through those portals and our surroundings are beginning to melt and we're just laser focused on one aspect of ourselves, laying there wide awake at midnight. Okay, so what do you say we check out a different document this week and get the perspective of somebody that's enjoyed this song for a while?
By the time the first verse starts here, it's already my favorite production on the record. The drums and the synths are so sharp and crystal clear, right at the very top of the mix, twinkling in your ears.
That's kind of what I was talking about sonically with the production, how there's this contrast by having such a deep resonant bass note and having like that snare and the hi-hats play off each other in a much sharper tone with very little decay.
And the voice distortion is so cool and so errant. Once again, something that feels like it was pulled from Reputation. And then we get lyrics that bring us back to themes explored in Evermore. Another reference to a family with kids on the holidays, like Right Where You Left Me. And an ex not thinking about her except when she's on TV, which immediately brought to mind Dorothea. And of course framing herself as seeking pain, as breaking her partner's heart, cause he was nice. And of chasing fame. More of these reflections on herself from very unflattering angles. Like an anti-hero.
I didn't get all those references. The Reputation thing with the modulation, the voice, that's a very, very good point. But no, I didn't get those references. I guess focusing a little bit into Evermore and some of those themes, I suppose, some kind of basic world building elements like I kind of previously talked about in this song.
Then finally a thesis statement for the record. I never think of him, except on midnights like this. On the vibe of the album so far, to be honest. I've liked the music, but I haven't been as crazy about the core aesthetic of the record as I was about her previous ones. But I'm starting to appreciate it now as this theme of liminal, late-night reflections is starting to solidify.
Yeah, that's a very good point right there. I mean, we've been through so many different sonic landscapes with her music, and it appears every era. You know, she's willing to experiment and negotiate with her own songwriting skills and what she's willing to present, and she's willing to step outside that box and try something new. But it's something I've always appreciated is thinking back and listening to some of her previous music from different eras and being like, wow, this is the same person that wrote this song. And it's like, it's wild because it's emotional whiplash to a certain degree. You know, you can go in any direction and you can feel anything. And I completely understand why people have certain, favorite eras, and I do as well personally. But there is some charm to certain aspects of certain songs that she writes, and when you get back into it, you're like, fuck, I need to hear this entire record again. I need to relive this moment because it's like a time capsule of emotion to a degree. It's like a time capsule of everything, even if like you're not familiar with the entirety of the stories and where they're going and what it all means. Like some of it is so relatable, and it's a rarity with music, and I get it. So I'd be interested to see what this person's favorite era is.
Combined with that really bright mix that breaks up the overcast skies with some flashes of moonlight and a few glistening stars in the skies.
This guy's poetic, all right. You coming for my job, dude?
This track is definitely another standout. Favorite lyric. He wanted it comfortable. I wanted that pain. He wanted a bride. I was making my own name.
Good girl, sad boy, big city, wrong choices. We had one thing going on. I swear that it was something, 'cause I don't remember who I was before you painted all my nights. A color I've searched for since, but one thing after another fucking situations, circumstances, miscommunications, and I have to say, by the way, I just may like some explanations. Can I ask you a question? Did you ever have someone kiss you in a crowded room? And every single one of your friends was making fun of you. But 15 seconds later they were clapping too. Then what did you do? Did you leave her house in the middle of the night? Did you wish you'd put up more of a fight? When she said it was too much, do you wish you could still touch her? It's just a question. Half moon eyes, bad surprise. Did you realize out of time she was on your mind with some dickhead guy that you saw that night? But you were on something. It was one drink after another, fucking politics and gender roles, and you're not sure, and I don't know. Got swept away in the gray. I just may like to have a conversation. Can I ask you a question? Did you ever have someone kiss you in a crowded room? And every single one of your friends was making fun of you. But 15 seconds later they were clapping too. Then what did you do? Did you leave her house in the middle of the night? Did you wish you'd put up more of a fight? When she said it was too much, do you wish you could still touch her? It's just a question. Does it feel like everything's just like second best after that meteor strike? And what's that I heard that you're still with her? That's nice, I'm sure that's what's suitable and right. But tonight, can I ask you a question?
It works.
Have someone kiss you in a crowded room, and every single one of your friends was making fun of you. But 15 seconds later they were clapping too. Then what did you do? Did you leave her house in the middle of the night? Did you wish you'd put up more of a fight? When she said it was too much, do you wish you could still touch her? It's just a question.
Okay, so I think we're breaking some walls here, man. This is interesting just from the idea of what perspective are we talking? Who is she talking about? Is she talking about herself in the third person? Is she having a conversation and legit like asking us a question? Because there are a lot of aspects of this song where it feels less about her musing on about what has happened to her in her life, and more of her just having like this open form. Like she's calling us up on the phone and saying like, hey, do you mind if I run a couple things by you guys? Like, can you help me out with this? But one of the more confusing aspects of this is those perspectives do shift. Let's go through this. She's painting the picture for us. She's saying, good girl, sad boy, big city, wrong choice. So right off the bat, we're introduced to characters, but we don't know which character she plays. You would think that Taylor would be the good girl with the sad boy in a big city with wrong choices, which leads me to believe like, oh, okay, you know, Lover 1989, this kind of cool New York thing going on, big city, sad boy, possibly, you know, Joel Alwyn, and she's a good girl. And that's what I was reading right away, but I don't know if that's true. All right, so as we dive into the meat of this song and try and piece together some theories of what I think this is, we get two very distinct compliments that are worded absolutely beautiful. And I'll get to the second one in a second, but the first one here is the beginning of the song. It says, because I don't remember who I was before you painted all my nights, a color I've searched for since. It's so easy to understand, and it makes so much sense with few words. I feel like I'm repeating myself because she does this a lot, but it's something to be celebrated. And whenever I see it, I get a little smile because I'm like, oh, fuck, that was good. That was clever. But let's start thinking of perspectives, because at this point we're thinking of her up at midnight and she's musing over this situation. And, you know, she's saying, well, we had something special that I have not had with anybody since. This color that I have just never seen since you left my world. She goes on to muse about situations, circumstances, and miscommunications, all of the fabric of issues we deal with just as people. But it seems like there was some mixed signals or some sort of confusion in the question, and she outlines it here. She would like some explanations even now. Maybe this is the angle of the song that's keeping her up. She's thinking back to certain situations and just asking herself, what the fuck? What did you mean? What did this? And she's just, circling her own mind as to how things went down. All right, so as we travel deeper into the weeds here, things shift. We're getting our first perspective shift, and it seems like she's not singing about a circumstance or whatever. She's legit like turning the camera to us and be like, can I ask you guys a question? Like Taylor's like legit confused. Like she wants some insight from us. Like she's like, does this make sense to you guys? Like what happened here? So Taylor questions, hey guys, did you ever have someone kiss you in a crowded room and every single one of your friends was making fun of you? But like 15 seconds later, they were clapping for you. I think she's like legitimately wondering. She's like, why would people like be looking at me funny? And then 15 seconds later, they're clapping too. And I think this is her starting to realize that some people are kind of fake. So I think she's like wondering, like, are these actually my friends? Are these people that care about me, or do they just want something different? Okay, so as we move on, we continue with more questions. And she says, did you leave her house in the middle of the night? And then in parentheses, it says, oh, but her expression and inflections on that is like it's like a moan. It's like a very pleasureful moan. And then underneath that, it says, do you wish you put up more of a fight? And then there's another oh, but it's not in parentheses. And it's just kind of like a oh. I think it's very clever. It's very telling of the two different situations of like leaving in the middle of the night, but after some sort of sexual encounter, and then the fight and this like realization of like, oh man, that didn't turn out so good. And the whole song reads like they're at like this trendy bar or something. I can just imagine like the DJ and the lights and everybody dancing and then like bumping into like another friend group or something and seeing this person and having this connection with them and your supposed friends not being sure, but then being sure directly after. And this is where that second compliment comes in that I really like. Does it feel like everything is just like second best after the meteor strike? So she's obviously admitting like her colors aren't the same, things are just not as good as they were when she was with this other person. But obviously some time and distance and some issues that happened and miscommunications that happened have obviously broken them up. Okay, so bear with me here. I got some wild theories. Okay, so they're in this bar, they're having this moment, they're reminiscing, they're thinking about how things used to be good. But obviously there were some miscommunications and they broke apart, but now they're seeing each other and they're reminded of those good times. So then I'm assuming what happens is they get back together and they kiss. And then their friends are like, what the fuck are you doing? Don't you remember how crazy it was? It was hard to get over this guy. Like, what's going on? And then after a couple of drinks, like nobody gives a fuck. They're like, you know what? Let's everybody kiss everybody. So the entire bar just starts making out. And then we finish off, do you wish you could still touch her? It's just a question. So maybe there's some resentment there. And after they start making out, she's like, you know what? That was nice and all, but I'm just being a little flirty right now. So we can kiss, but you ain't touching any more of me. That's it. I'm going back over to my friend group. We're gonna do some Jaeger bombs. All right, so suffice it to say, yes, I'm a little confused by that one. So sonically, it was a lot of fun too. We're sticking with like this synth forward and synth heavy track, but this one was a little bit more dancier, I guess you could say. And some more fun vocal effects where she was like circling in your ear and they had some odd modulations as well. I'm telling you, it's like they found a vocoder on this record and they just went fucking nuts with it. I'm not saying it's bad by any means. I'm just saying it's unexpected. And I think it's going to take me a couple more listens to really get in the flow of all of this. But the album itself, so far up until now, seems to have a certain fluidity to it. After this album reaction, that's going to take me forever. I'm going to have to sit down with the entire thing and just listen to it in one stop and just have like a listening party. And just get the fluidness of this album, just to understand the general flow and feel the entirety of the weight, because it feels like these songs are less of songs of themselves, but more continuations on these circling thoughts in sonic landscapes. So it's going to be something I'm going to need to listen to in one setting, just from start to finish after all of this. But let's see if this document can clarify anything for me.
Question. I had to spend 15 minutes pondering over the chorus of this song. If I thought Snow on the Beach had some of her weirdest lyrics, she'd double down here. I've concluded that how very peculiar I find the situation she's describing must be exactly what she's intending to communicate. A bizarre, almost inexplicable mix of very intimate and very social experiences.
Yeah, so that's why it feels like she's asking us directly. She's like, you guys know what the hell happened here? Like, she's looking for some clarification. Has anybody, like, I don't know, like sent her an email or something?
She's mocked and applauded simultaneously in the middle of these really precious and personal moments of her life.
Yeah.
And that's a deeply confusing experience with no obvious answer for how to proceed.
I think I know. I think I know what happened. And I've experienced something kind of similar to this. So not to this degree, I'm assuming, but met a stranger at this club. We were out Midwest somewhere, and I was talking to my buddies we were there with, and I'm like, I'm gonna go talk to this girl. And she was just out there like dancing. It was like like they did like 80s themes or whatever. I think it was like an 80s themed dance night. So everybody's like wearing ridiculous shit anyway, and everyone was drinking, having a good time. But I went and I talked to her, and she just kind of started dancing, and I don't know how to dance, but you know, I can jazzercise with the best of them. So I start, you know, doing some calisthenics as best I can. I'm a little tipsy. My friends are like, Jim, you're about to embarrass yourself right now. She's probably way out of my league or whatever, but maybe she liked the confidence, or I don't know. We started dancing, kind of flirting. She gets a little touchy with me, and I go to like lean in to kind of like vibe out if like a kiss can happen. And she leans in, and we start making out right there on the dance floor. At first, my friends were like, what the fuck is going on? Like, Jim, this is ridiculous. And then after that, they were like, oh, all right, you're killing it. So I've kind of experienced this to a certain degree. I don't think they were like booing me or like whatever. I think they were just really confused as to how that happened.
My answer is that. No, Taylor, I've never experienced anything remotely like that.
Well, it's wild, meat. It's wild. I never will again, obviously, but like, yeah.
And your life is probably confusing as fuck.
I like this guy. Meat that talks, huh? Okay.
I'm also curious whether that I remember here is a reference to the I remember from Out of the Woods, and if Taylor's connecting back the specific relationship referred to here to the one that she was writing about way back then.
Huh.
It seems to me that she's likely reflecting back on multiple different relationships in this album as all these different memories and pains come back to her in these midnight moments. And
yeah, so okay, we know that, all right, but not multiple different relationships in this song. We're still kind of like in one perspective, but she's still talking about herself as her. Like, why? Why would she say that?
The line really stands apart from the rest of the song in such a distinctive way that I feel like it must be carrying some weight and meaning. And then just putting aside the lyrics, I think this is another song with much more vibrant and powerful production than the first few on the record had. Much more akin to Midnight Rain, and I personally prefer that.
It is definitely cool, and the vocal effects are wild, and there's some interesting panning going on, and it feels ethereal to a certain degree. It's a little all over the place, and on paper, it's one of those things like you think about like would be cheesy or would not work, but I mean, it ties back into the melody. It still has like that anchor point where it like builds back in, and it doesn't take anything away from the song that was before it or after it, which is the key component you need from using some of these wild effects.
Favorite lyric. And what's that I heard? That you're still with her. That's nice. I'm sure that's what's suitable and right.
Okay, there you go. All right. I don't think I even talked about that lyric, but yeah. So there does seem to be like a little resentment there to a degree, like, oh, you're still with her or whatever. But she says that's nice, and I'm sure that's suitable and right. I'm not sure if she's being sarcastic because it's kind of hard to tell from the angle of this song because there's so much happening, and we're breaking that fourth wall of music when she's directly talking to us. But I'm glad that I'm not the only one that was confused by that. And it appears Taylor was also confused as well.
Draw the cat eyes sharp enough to kill a man.
Okay, so that's what it's from. I'm sorry to stop the song, but I was curious about it. I bought this shirt because I thought it was funny and it was fun, and Taylor's talking about murder, and I had no context whatsoever. But now I know. Okay. It comes across menacing and evil, but let's just listen to the whole song. Let's take it back here. Let's absorb this whole thing, and then we'll talk more about my sweatshirt.
Draw the cat eyes sharp enough to kill a man. You did some bad things, but I'm the worst of them. Sometimes I wonder which one will be your last lie. They say looks can kill, and I might try. I don't dress for women, I don't dress for men. Lately I've been dressing for revenge. I don't start shit, but I can tell you how it ends. Don't get sad, get even. So on the weekends, I don't dress for friends. Lately I've been dressing for revenge. She needed cold hard proof, so I gave her some. She had the envelope, where you think she got it from? Now she gets the house, gets the kids, gets the pride. Picture me thick as thieves with your ex-wife, and she looks so pretty, driving in your Benz. Lately she's been dressing for revenge. She don't start shit, but she can tell you how it ends. Don't get sad, get even. So on the weekends, she don't dress for friends. Lately she's been dressing for revenge. Ladies always rise above. Ladies know what people want. Someone sweet and kind and fun. The ladies simply hide in love. Well, he was doing lines and crossing all of mine. Someone told us white collar crimes to the FBI. And I don't dress for villains or for innocence. I'm on my vigilante shit again. I don't start shit, but I can tell you how it ends. Don't get sad, get even. So on the weekends, I don't dress for friends. Lately I've been dressing for revenge.
Okay, guys, Taylor's fucking pissed, and she's sick of everybody's shit, and she is ready to burn the entire world down, and I am here for it. I'm not sure if this is her talking in metaphors or if these are scenarios that she's directly participated in, but let's just take this one line by line. So yeah, I bought this shirt about a week before I knew I was going to do this album reaction because I thought, you know, it sounded fun. She's talking about killing a man, which I think is kind of neat, and it reminded me of Rage Against the Machine. So she says, you did some bad things, but I'm the worst of them. Sometimes I wonder which one will be your last lie. They say looks can kill, and I might try. She is channeling her inner villain here. She's going for it 100%. This is like a complete and total different persona from her, you know? Long gone are the sweet, you know, naive days, you know, singing out about Tim McGraw and shit. She's ready to burn this mother down. So she goes on talking about dressing, and I don't think she's actually talking about what she's wearing. And I think that's where the line, draw the cat eye, and her, I'm assuming, which is her eyeliner or whatever, in dressing. I think these are metaphors for getting in the mindset of doing some hardcore revenge. You know, she's sick of it all. She's sick of everybody's shit. She's seen some stuff go down, and she's no longer just going to be on the sidelines watching things go down. She's going to actively participate in some actual revenge. And she's totally confident in her abilities to just destroy somebody. I don't start shit, but I can tell you how it ends. Don't get sad, get even. Okay, so as we move on to the first scenario here, I'm not sure if this is just something she's imagining or something she's actively participated in. But in this story, she says she needed cold hard proof, so I gave her some. She had the envelope. Where do you think she got it from? So it's leading me to believe that like she's showing somebody's wife cold hard pictures of possibly him cheating on them, because now she's saying like now she gets the house, she gets the kids, she gets the pride, and now she's like best friends with this dude's wife, and she's like presenting all the evidence to him, saying like, hey, she's gonna get all this shit and you're going down in the divorce, she's gonna get everything because you did some horrible shit, I guess. Okay, so then as we move on, she starts reporting people to the FBI. I don't know what the hell they're doing for the FBI to get involved, but that's never fun. Let's check out the document and see what they gotta say.
This is fun. I said from the first track that this album felt like something of a hybrid between Evermore and Reputation, and this track is the smoking gun. It's
Evermore and Reputation. They think this album's a hybrid of those two albums? I don't know. We're only a couple tracks into it so far, but I don't know. I don't know if I'd make that distinction. I mean, there's definitely some like processing and like synthetic elements to this that makes it give it that like Reputation angle. But it's not like, I hate to use this word, but it's not like it's harsh. The tones aren't as harsh not the lyrics. And I think everything's a little bit warmer. It has like a more analog meets digital kind of sound to it, whereas Reputation was a little bit snappier and like just had like kind of stronger choruses to it. This truly feels like a collection of musings so far, at least from like a solid sonic landscape. And then Evermore, yeah, I guess. I mean, there's some storytelling aspects to it, and it is breaking that fourth wall of music of, you know, talking directly to us and singing about certain things. And especially in this song, you know, where she's talking about a couple different scenarios, I believe, at least two, or maybe it's the same guy that's now in trouble with the FBI. It could be, I don't know. But it does have like that storytelling nature to it that we got a lot of from Evermore and Folklore and everything like that, where they have these stories intertwined through the whole thing. So yeah, I guess to a certain degree.
It's got the simple, intense structure of no body, no crime, the disciplined venom of closure, but all of the badass run this shit energy of a Reputation song. One of the most stripped down, bare bones tracks that Taylor's ever released. Nothing but her voice, a drum machine, and a sporadic synth.
Yeah, so that is what's interesting about this, and it gives it kind of like that evil type of feeling, you know, like it's cinematic in that aspect where the instrumentation is used sparingly. That is a good point, I suppose. But there is at least one hook to it with a bass line. It is minimal, and most of it comes down to atmosphere with those little textures and tones kind of peeking out from beneath it. But it does feel kind of menacing just from the sonic angle of it all. But there is a slight hook to it, but it is very minimal.
But her vocals are spectacular. Listen to On the Weekend, Sister. So good.
Yeah, so for the most part, the vocals are clean on this one. There's not too much augmentation going on, but there is layering, and that layering does have that modulation. For instance, again, they're using that vocoder that we're all familiar with at this point, but they're using it a lot more sparingly on this one. It's to harmonize with what she's saying, and it's just to kind of add some depth to her vocals, but it's two very distinct tones coming through, and it's messing with the pitch just a little bit. It's not like one clean frequency from start to finish. It has some variation to it, some kind of wave to it, which is just giving her voice a little bit more movement. Not used as a crutch because it's an obvious effect. It's there to show that there's two voices kind of coming through. It's just the modulated voice is much lower in the mix, but it is there. It's just that those cleans come forward.
And that synth has so many textures and little riffs, and runs throughout. It's almost psychedelic in how many strange sounds emerge from it for just a moment and then dissolve back into the shadows.
Psychedelic is an interesting way to describe it. Yeah, it definitely is. I guess you're right. It's kind of trippy to a certain degree because the landscape is changing. It's morphing. You know, those sounds, the atmosphere of it all, like it has a much larger role to play in the song than, you know, that basic bass line that comes through on, I guess, what you call the hook of the song. So it feels like it's more like this moving piece. It feels like there's like some modulation to it all. It's all morphing into something else. And then that highlighted with those slight variant vocal effects is definitely adding to the overall texture.
It feel like Taylor's just in an almost completely dark room. A single spotlight on her, staring right at you as fleeting.
Okay, so interesting. So this person's saying that with all these sonic aspects of the song and this slight modulation, it is giving the illusion of just like her in a dark room with a drum pad and just kind of like going for it and seething or just like sinking into like the darker side of her mind. And I could totally see that for sure. But it wouldn't be smart to call this a minimal track because there is so much going on. There's so much outside of that basic hook, you know, where the atmosphere is really what is carrying all of this, you know, that shifting in tones, those bleeding in and out quasi melodies or just, you know, even, you know, textured atmosphere. Like that's what really builds this. That's the foundation. That's what's holding this all together. The drum machine even kind of stops and starts, and they're stuttering on the snare and the hi-hat, that higher end frequency you're hearing in the song, to give the illusion that everything is just kind of like loosey-goosey, when in reality there is a strong anchor point to it all, and it's not the drum beat, and it's not the chorus, that the bass, the hook that we're all hearing. It's those atmospheric elements.
Out of focus flashes of color appear behind her for just a second at a time.
Okay.
No denying that this is a vibe and a half. Favorite lyric: you did some bad things, but I'm the worst of them.
Yeah. All right, so some great points from Meat. I really enjoy the analysis coming from this guy. It's pretty cool, actually. The way they absorb music and talk about it and the feeling that it has. I share a lot of those foundations. We just kind of explain it differently, and it's cool. It's very poignant. I don't know all the intricacies of what the song and how it correlates to previous material or other relationships, that they definitely have a much stronger foundation than I have. So it's good to hear these kind of opinions.
Baby love, I think I've been a little too kind. Didn't notice you walking all over my peace of mind. And the shoes I gave you as a present. Putting someone first only works when you're in their top 5. And by the way, I'm going out tonight. Best believe I'm still bejeweled. When I walk in the room, I can still make the whole place shimmer. And when I meet the band, they ask, do you have a man? I can still say I don't remember. Familiarity breeds contempt. Don't put me in the basement when I want the penthouse of your heart. Diamonds in my eyes. I polish up real. I polish up real nice. Baby boy, I think I've been too good of a girl. Too good of a girl. Did all the extra credit, then got graded on a curve. I think it's time to teach some lessons. I made you my world. Have you heard? I can reclaim the land. And I miss you, but I miss Sparkland. Best believe I'm still bejeweled. When I walk in the room, I can still make the whole place shimmer. And when I meet the band, they ask, do you have a man? I can still say I don't remember. Familiarity breeds contempt. Don't put me in the basement when I want the penthouse of your heart. Diamonds in my eyes. I polish up real. I polish up real nice.
This is so different.
Sapphire tears on my face, sadness became my whole sky. But some guy said my aura's moonstone just 'cause he was high. And we're dancing all night, and you can try to change my mind, but you might have to wait in line. What's a girl gonna do? A diamond's gotta shine. Best believe I'm still bejeweled. When I walk in the room, I can still make the whole place shimmer. And when I meet the band, they ask, do you have a man? I can still say I don't remember. Familiarity breeds contempt. Don't put me in the basement when I want the penthouse of your heart. Diamonds in my eyes. I polish up real. I polish up real. Nights all night, and you can try to change my mind, but you might have to wait in line. What's a girl gonna do? What's a girl gonna do? I polish up nights. Best believe I'm still bejeweled. When I walk in the room, I can still make the whole place shimmer.
Okay, before we begin, I just got to say this. For anybody out there that has not heard this album with a good pair of headphones on, you are doing yourself a disservice. You probably have a pair of good headphones in a drawer somewhere. Just pull them out and listen to this album. It's going to be a night and day difference than listening on your laptop or even any kind of home theater. I recommend open back headphones. That's the best for sound stages, but you can use any over-the-ear headphones that kind of block everything out. You're going to hear the intricacies and the sounds and how they revolve around panning from left to right and create this environment that really and truly feels 3D. They did a great job in the soundstage with this album. Okay, I don't know for certain, but I would imagine this would be one of the singles off of this album. I'm not immediately familiar with the song, but it's just the most radio-friendly jam I've heard so far. Everything else has been pretty experimental and kind of slow-moving and somewhat broody to a degree, and it just doesn't fit within that, contemporary pop motif that we generally hear in the radio, but this kind of has all of those elements. Okay, so to me, this reads as somebody that was broken up with, that's getting back on the scene, that's starting to re-embrace life again. I'm assuming Taylor's talking about the end of one of her relationships, and obviously there's an aftermath to that of just staying inside and being depressed and all that, but she's finally at a point where she can go back out and shimmer and, be bejeweled and get back to her old self and be happy again. So she's done being depressed. She doesn't want to be in the basement anymore. She wants to come up, get some fresh air, and come out and shimmer, like she says. Now, don't ask me why. Don't ask me why I'm thinking this or what is invoking me to say this, but I cannot help but think mirror ball. Maybe it's just the essence of Reflections, because it definitely doesn't have the same vibe as Mirrorball, but I'm reminded of it for some reason. It just, the idea of light shining onto you and reflecting off, and the cause and effect of it all, and getting back out there and stepping back into that kind of role. I can't help but think that it's going to play some kind of role, or maybe this was talking about the idea of being bright again as a Mirrorball or something. I think there might be something tying to it. And maybe I'm just thinking of like the reflective nature of it all and taking it way too literally. But sonically, everything is so bright and it's kind of dancey, and it just has this positive vibe to it. The vocals are playful. They use a lot of the same effects and vocal techniques found in the song Me. Remember how massive that song sounded vocally? And it's because of all of those layers. And they kind of transpose one of the layers down just to make it sound a little bit fuller. And it's not done in the traditional vocoder setting that we've heard so much from this album. It seems to be kind of stepping back towards that. It's catchy, it's positive, and it's empowering. And I like it because I kind of thought going into this album that everything was going to be kind of a bit of a bummer, because more often than not, none of us are up late at night, you know, just sitting there thinking of happy moments that are keeping us awake at night. If it was all just a bummer and a downer and depressive and dark, I think that might be a little too much for people. This seems to be a bit of everything. It still feels honest to the degree of, I think these are things that we think about when we're asleep, whether it's something we did that we're cringing over, or a sad thought, or, you know, reminiscing about how you handle a situation, or just how you're confused about something. It just feels like such a basic human emotion. And it sounds weird saying that, but the humanization of music, it just feels like every year we step further and further away from it, and we get these pre-boxed, these manufactured, these plastic songs that feel like there's nothing to them. There's no gravity. There's no actual impact to it at all. Like, they said essentially nothing, or what they said had no weight on anybody's life, and there was no consequences. There was no stakes to any of it. And I appreciate with Taylor that we always get stakes, that there's always consequences, that there's always a cause and effect relationship with these songs. But let's check out what the document's got to say.
The production here reminds me of some things she did on Lover. Not to mention the Little Miss Americana style, Nice.
Interesting. Okay, so she's mentioning Lover, and that the song Me was on Lover. Okay, all right. Meet the Talks. We're thinking on the same wavelength here.
In there, while the lyrics, on the other hand, are kind of a combination of the I'm a badass energy from the previous song given a new layer of depth.
Okay, yeah, okay, so it's kind of like continuing on from Vigilante Shit, that badass energy. Okay, that's interesting. That reminds me, got to go back and listen to this thing from start to finish, because sonically it's cool when everything stays, you know, within the foundations of a fluid moving thing. But lyrically, kind of keeping up that energy, moving from one track to another, and not having any kind of whiplash between the two of them, is another art form to discuss.
I think you could read this as a sort of rebuttal of those fears she expressed in Nothing New, as a self-affirming mantra about making a pop banger after two very low-key, folk-adjacent records, or even as a fuck you to her previous label, and as a theme song for reclaiming her work and making new records without them.
Wow, okay, all right, I didn't get all of that, but yeah, that's very true. Yeah, from Folklore to Evermore, we didn't really have like that bright, polished, poppy sound. This is the first thing we've gotten, you know? I'm just thinking, I guess, yeah, since Lover, this is the first thing we've gotten that kind of had this sound. And we're halfway through the album before we even get it anyway. And it might be kind of a fuck you as a rebuttal. Interesting.
Because what makes this song unique is that this isn't just a song about Taylor being beautiful or powerful or free. It's a song about her still being those things. There's this inherent implication that one might not think she could do those things anymore, which I really like, or I should say, I like how subtle it is, and that Taylor doesn't feel the need to spoon-feed us the question to which she's replying.
Interesting. Okay, so it's saying, does she still have it? Does she still have this energy? Does she still have this kind of momentum with after two low-key albums? And it's not really done in a metaphorical way or spoon-feeding, as Meat says here. Okay, all right.
And then, of course, a line like, and by the way, I'm going out tonight, is just pure Reputation era, don't fuck with me energy that I'm a sucker for. On top of that, it's got the catchiest pop hook of the album so far, and I was a little disappointed by how the production didn't really make the first chorus soar. But then the second chorus takes off like fireworks. Like, aha, there it is.
Yeah, that happens a lot with music. You know, you find a certain part in a song. I do it all the time where I hyper focus on like 5 or 10 seconds of a song. And I'm like, I wish they just repeat this part over again. I wish they would, you know, emphasize more on this. And then the more you think about it, the more you understand if it was a repeating part that had the same energy, the same emphasis on inflections or whatever the case may be, the thing that you enjoy, it would lose dramatic effect for what it actually is. You need to have some sort of build. You need to have, you know, this swell in the song that when it finally does pay off, when you finally get that hook, that sound, that melody, whatever it is that you're hyper focusing on, it is just more impactful. It's meaningful. It just carries some actual weight to it. But I know exactly what you're talking about.
There's the classic Taylor pop banger chorus, favorite lyric. And when I meet the band, they ask, "Do you have a man?" I can still say, "I don't remember."
Yeah, I think that last line is very telling. You know, when they say, "Do you have a man?" Like she's not, you know, focused on the ending of the relationship. She's not in that depressive state. She's like, you know what? I don't even remember. It's like, what am I doing? Oh yeah, I'm just out here living my badass life, bejeweling the fuck out of everything. You know, it's been great.
It only hurts this much right now, was what I was thinking the whole time. Breathe in, breathe through, breathe deep, breathe out. I'll be getting over you my whole life. You know how scared I am of elevators. Never trusted if it rises fast, it can't last. Oh, I'm falling in love. Oh no, I'm falling in love again. Oh, I'm falling in love. I thought the plane was going down. How'd you turn it right around?
Ooh.
It only feels this raw right now. Lost in the labyrinth of my mind. Break up, break free, break through, break down. You would break your back to make me break a smile. You know how much I hate that everybody just expects me to bounce back, just like that. Oh, I'm falling in love. Oh no, I'm falling in love again. Oh, I'm falling in love. I thought the plane was going down. How'd you turn it right around? Oh, I'm falling in love. Oh no, I'm falling in love.
And it's closer.
I'm falling in love. I thought the plane was going down. How'd you turn it right around? I'm falling in love. Oh no, I'm falling in love again. I'm falling in love. I thought the plane was going down. How'd you turn it right around? I'm falling in love.
Okay, so first off, sonically, this is my favorite on the album. I love all the sound design. I love the atmosphere. I like the build. I like the swell. It just didn't have a payoff for me. You know, it was just building and swelling, and there was like this certain pensitivity that just kept crawling up my spine, but it never paid off. It never had that crashing down moment that I really wanted, where like we just heard that massive snare and the crashing of the cymbals just kind of faded out, and we had this over the top guitar strung and this, you know, this massive hook that was supposed to come in, you know, that was just like, okay, here it comes. But it never came. And it's by design. I get it. I understand. It's just like, God damn it. But in that essence, the song it's done what it's designed to do, you know? It's built that tension within us. It's built that moment of fear, that moment of anxiety, kind of like in this beautiful but scary way. And that's what this is designed to do. She's saying, oh no, I'm falling in love again. She knows what comes with falling in love, especially with falling in love with the wrong person. And this might be the wrong person anyway. And there's so much creeping anxiety, but like that lush sonic foundation, that beautiful organ and slight pad and touch of strings and what almost even sounded like a horn instrument. I mean, it's like, it's almost heavenly in its approach. It's this wall of sound that keeps building and morphing, and it's mixed together with like so many other playful aspects of like, I don't know, like these little synths that just kind of like pop and bounce off in the distance, and it just makes the whole thing feel like the lens is flaring, you know? Ever see a movie where like the lens is kind of flaring and it just like makes everything bright in the corner? It's like this orb over on the side. It's like a bunch of those are just kind of popping off around her, and it's disorientating to a certain degree, but I think that's what this is supposed to be. Okay, so lyrically the song is telling and it feels very personal, but we don't just have this sonic landscape. We don't just have the lyrics that tell us this, which I'll get to in a second, but we also have the vocals, and this is where things once again have taken a bit of a shift. I mean, vocally, we've been having fun on this album. We've been using a shit ton of vocoders and pitch corrects, and we've been doing all sorts of weird and funky modulations, and it's been kind of a lot. It's been so different from what I expected this to be and where I thought she'd take the next step of her career. But this one takes it up to another level because we've completely changed the tone. We've now moved into this frail, this soft, this delicate, this anxiety-ridden falsetto that just bleeds through the music, and having it have that high, you know, that higher frequency mixed with the warmth of like that organ, especially as it swells, it just creates this ethereal and like harmonious, beautiful, like heavenly harmony. It's expertly done. It's expertly done. I just wish I had that fucking payoff, but she knows what she's doing. She's a goddamn tease. But let's talk about the lyrics here for a second. Okay, so the song starts off with her reminiscing about her reminiscing. We're in a dream inside of a dream kind of thing here. She says, "It only hurts this much right now was what I was thinking the whole time," bringing us back to that perspective of like where she was in this headspace that she just needed to get over what was about to happen and just prepare herself mentally. And in the next part of the song, that's exactly what she does. There's this mantra of her breathe in and coping with herself of what she's about to do, and you can tell it's having this enormous toll. Breathe in, breathe out. I'll be getting over you my whole life. Like she knows what is about to happen is going to be devastating eventually. There's like this moment of excitement, and there's like, you know, with how beautiful the sonic landscape is and how beautiful her voice is in that falsetto, like there's this illusion that things are going to be fine because everything is perfect, but because it is that perfect, we know it's going to be that much more devastating. So as we progress, we're introduced to the first melodic hook. The uh-oh, I'm falling in love. Oh no, I'm falling in love again. That recurring theme. And to me, it doesn't sound like a slow burn type of moment. It doesn't seem like she's with this person and then slowly just kind of falls in love with them. It seems like he's kind of doing the right things and making the right moves where she is almost uncontrollable, like, oh, why did you have to try and break your back to make me break a smile? Why did you have to go all out to do these things that I enjoy so much? Because I cannot help myself at this point. I cannot help myself from feeling this way. And if I'm going to fall for you, I'm going to fall hard, and it's going to break my world. So I don't think that she was mentally prepared for this. She wasn't ready to fall for somebody at all. And this is kind of a complete surprise to her. She thought that she was back out, and, you know, maybe she was possibly still in those Bejeweled days of getting over somebody and not even thinking about having a significant person in her life and just enjoying being out. And, you know, just it wasn't on her mind. But the song is very telling when we get towards the end. I mean, it repeats this part over and over, but down towards the end, this last line here, I thought the plane was going down. how'd you turn it right around? And those lines to me symbolize that maybe she thought that she would never find love again. She'd never find somebody. She would never be vulnerable or open with somebody in a way that they could capture her heart. And that's why this is such a surprise to her, I feel. I feel like she was just in the right place with the right person, and he was doing the right things and checking off all of those boxes. And she is uncontrollable. You know, there's nobody at the wheel. It's just the emotions have taken hold, and her heart is leading the way. And her brain is just like, what the fuck are you doing? Oh no, we're falling in love. We're fucked, everybody. But let's see what the document's got to say.
This is the vibe. If this is a record aiming for creating a sonic atmosphere above all else, this is the track that hits the bullseye.
Damn it, Meat. Dude, Meat, I like your style, dude. We should hang out.
Distant, muddled voices, rising and falling ethereal, nothing noises.
Yes.
A bright trumpeting synth dancing over the top.
There was trumpet. Okay, so there was trumpet in there. All right.
Glitching and twitching noises. Nothing you can put your finger on. Just vibes on vibes.
Okay, I'm not sure. Meat, are you in this community? I'd like to have some conversations with you. I'm not sure if this document was made directly for me, or if this was just an overall of her career or whatever. But yeah, I'm digging your vibe, dude.
This is probably in the bottom 5 fewest lyrics Taylor's ever put on a track. She hardly says anything, and most of what she says is the same refrain over and over.
But sometimes she doesn't need to do that. I've talked about that tons of times. She says a lot in her lyrics, and they can obviously be very wordy. I think we all get that, and we understand that. But I don't think that anything is added that doesn't need to be added. It's all adding more context. It's all adding to the world building. It's all, pushing the story and the song forward. Nothing is held back because of it. It all... At most times, there's been a couple instances where I've been like, maybe not, but like, whatever, it's subjective. But for the most part, that's what she does. And yeah, there's not too much said here, but what is said is the main message.
But hitting it from a slightly different angle every time. Some ohs are in despair. Some oh no's are sighed in relief. Some ohs are practically moaned.
Oh my God, I completely forgot to even mention that. She's done that before too, with the moaning of the ohs and stuff. So this isn't new for the album. But it does. It adds a completely different context to what she just said, especially having those, those moments, those O's, I guess. I don't know what to call it. I don't know what the verb of that is, but those moments, but it adds a shift to what she just said, even though she said the same thing over again. It's like she's trying everything. You know what I mean? It's like she's trying every angle of everything when it comes to music. Like it's crazy, man. It's like, oh, we haven't done that yet. Let's do that. She's like a kid in a candy shop with like $1 million studio, multi-million-dollar studio. And she's like, you know what? I'll have one of everything.
Seemingly one of the simplest songs in her whole catalogue, and yet one with so much to be found on repeated listens. If you really crank the headphones for this one, it's like zooming in with a telescope and finding all these new things just on the edge of visibility. Labyrinthine indeed. Favourite lyric. Breathe through, breathe out. I'll be getting over you my whole life.
Okay, yeah, no, that's a pretty good line too. That's that mantra of her talking to herself. One thing to add too, even though there's not too much said in this, it's not as wordy as Taylor's other music. This is one of the longer tracks on the album. I believe it's the second longest, just looking at the track list. I think Snow on the Beach is the longest, but everything else is right at that 3-minute mark. So I don't know. Take that with whatever you want. She doesn't say too much. A lot of things are repeated, but she does have those moments of moaning and noises coming from her that, signifies a different angle to what she just said. So she can say the same thing over and over again, but she just has a different context to it based on that ending expression. But yeah, I really enjoyed that one.
You talking shit for the hell of it. Addicted to betrayal, but you're relevant. You're terrified to look down. Cause if you dare, you see the glare of everyone you burn just to get there. It's coming back around. And I keep my side of the street clean. You wouldn't know what I mean.
I don't know what you mean.
Karma is my boyfriend. Karma is a god. Karma is the breeze in my hair on the weekend. Karma's a relaxing thought. Aren't you envious that for you it's not? Sweet like honey. Karma is spider boy, king of thieves. Weave your little webs of opacity. My pennies made your crown. Trick me once, trick me twice. Don't you know that cash ain't the only price? It's coming back around. And I keep my side of the street clean. You wouldn't know what I mean. 'Cause karma is my boyfriend. Karma is a god. Karma is the breeze in my hair on the weekend. Karma's a relaxing thought. Aren't you envious that for you it's not? Sweet like honey. Karma is a cat purring in my lap 'cause it loves me. Flexing like
I love that line.
acrobat. Me and karma vibe like that. Ask me what I learned from all those years. Ask me what I earned from all those tears. Ask me why so many fade, but I'm still here.
Calls it earned.
'Cause karma is the thunder rattling your ground. Karma's on your scent like a bounty hunter. Karma's gonna track you down, step by step from town to town. Sweet like justice, karma is a queen. Karma takes all my friends to the summit. Karma is the guy on the screen, coming straight home to me. Karma is my boyfriend. Karma is a god. Karma is the breeze in my hair on the weekend. Karma's a relaxing thought. Aren't you envious that for you it's not? Sweet like honey. Karma is a cat purring in my lap 'cause it loves me. Flexing like a goddamn acrobat. Me and karma vibe like that. Karma is my boyfriend. Karma is a god.
A god.
Karma's a relaxing thought.
Relaxing thought. Okay, so that is Karma, and honestly, those are some of the funniest lyrics I've heard from Taylor to date. And I understand that's not the message of this song, and that's not the angle or anything. It's just funny to me knowing what I know about her now and her personality and the things that she enjoys and how she explains them as being a positive thing to her and how she frames this entire song. Because personally, I have a very different reaction to Karma. Karma to Taylor is something incredibly comforting, you know? It's something easy breezy. It's something you can kind of go with the flow most of the time. It's a cat on her lap purring because it loves her, you know? It's a breeze in the wind. Although she does call it her boyfriend and also a god at a couple points here as well. But she seems to be relishing the fact that like she is letting things roll off her shoulders. She's saying, you know what? You may have wronged me. You this horrible thing you may have done, but you know what? I have so much going on. I got too many positive things to think about that I'm just gonna let Karma handle the rest of it, you know? Karma can handle all of this. Everything will be right in the end, you know? It's a very feng shui way of thinking. And, you know, I wish I could be like that. I don't know about you guys, but like Karma, for me personally, it kind of stresses me out. I think like, what if they never get theirs? What if like this dick keeps excelling at life? What if like we just elect him a fucking again? You know, like what if, and we do, you know, it's like, well, when are they going to fucking get theirs? And I don't know. I can't be of the mindset that they're always going to like get theirs and the universe is going to straighten things out because I just think it's all random. You know, I think everything we do is random. I think the whole reason we're here is random. I don't think there's a greater purpose. I don't think there's a big being looking over us. I don't think that like anybody has anything to do with anything. We're all just running around and bouncing into each other. Now, does that mean like I believe that we should try and seek revenge and let these things eat us up? No. And that's why karma is a relaxing thought, you know? It's if you believe in karma or if you just like let these things roll off your shoulder, and I guess a way to expel yourself of the toxins within is a great way to think of it as like, well, I'm just going to lean towards the idea of what karma is. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. In my experience, it's all fucking random. And hey man, full transparency on this one, I believe I've heard this in passing. I don't know if this was a single at one point, but it sounds like something I've heard. Also, the production on this one, kind of leaning into more of a warmer, chimier type of sound, a little less melodramatic than what we've heard so far on this album. It's got some great harmonies as well. A little less of the vocoder. In fact, not much of the vocoder at all. There is some interesting vocal effects that do switch back and forth where it sounds like she's closer than a little bit further away, all within the same sentence, which is kind of cool. It creates this like almost like wah effect in your ear, which is kind of nice. But yeah, it's very chimey, it's very dancey, it's polished, and it's definitely catchy in a very simple, minimalistic way, without using all of those like old school analog style synths. This just feels a little bit more digital to me. And outside of those vocal effects, Taylor does show some interesting dynamics here, especially working in different keys in the song. You know, she sounds like she's singing mostly in this chimey falsetto, much higher pitched voice, not a true falsetto, but working along with the natural chimes. But then she also sings from a lower register as well. Kind of goes back and forth. Doesn't seem like it's going from different perspectives or anything. She's just adding some more dynamics to the track because it is fairly minimal, and having that contrast and that, you know, accent melody going off of the traditional melody by just switching the tone in your voice kind of just adds a little bit more depth to the track. Looking at these lyrics now, I don't know if she's talking about one specific instance, you know, because she's talking about somebody tricking her a couple times and making pennies off her, and her saying, you know, cash is not the only price. So it leads me to believe that this might be something about her masters in that situation, and maybe this is her just coming out and finally saying, you know what, whatever, screw it. I'm just going to re-record the whole shit anyway. Everybody's going to love the new stuff. You know, keep your pennies, keep the originals. It is what it is. You screwed me this one time, but you know what? I'm not going to let it fester and eat me up. But overall, I enjoyed the track. You know, whenever I start these reactions up, I'm not sure what I'm about to be hit with for the first track. You know, is it going to be a monster that's going to fucking emotionally destroy me? Or is it going to be something a little bit more lighthearted, a little bit more playful like this? And I'm glad we started off kind of on a lighter note. All right, so I'm going to bring back Meat That Talks this week. I had a lot of fun with him last week, and I'm going to change his voice up a little bit. I don't envision Meat That Talks as a British man. I imagine more of an American accent, so we're going to give him a different voice. All right, let's see what Meat's going to say.
Karma. Yeah, I cried my heart out in public for the last 15 years. But now I'm the goddamn queen of pop, so you can't fucking touch me. This is such an anthem and such a message. She's been through some shit. She's got scars and learned things the hard way. And she's seen some shit on the climb up the mountain. She's watched people get stepped on. She's watched their fingers slip from the cracks as the other climbers stole their gear. And now, she's seen all those thieves and kickers and betrayers fall down too. But she's still there. This is the kind of song that only like 5 people on the planet could write with full sincerity, and she's one of them. And she's so confident in her position that she can put a line like, "Karma is a cat purring in my lap, 'cause it loves me." Because there's no one above her to tell her she can't. This is almost like a sequel to Mean, 12 years later. And beyond all of that, I love that weird THX-esque synth sound holding everything together here. And I love how Taylor's got 2 distinct voices for the verses and chorus here. First, Taylor sounds...
I think Meat's talking about the lead going off of the bass, which is essentially close to like an accent melody, closer to why I said things sounded a little bit more digitally processed on this. But yeah, the THX thing works, I suppose. Okay, all right. So far, pretty poetic here, especially talking with the climbers and everything.
It's like she's just smoked a pack of cigarettes. In her full, raspy, half-spoken voice that I liked so much on parts of the last couple albums. But she pulls her pop chorus voice out, high and soft, to really sell the way above you. Hope you're having fun down there. Haters energy. Love it. Favorite lyric? Ask me what I earned from all those tears. Ask me why so many fade, but I'm still here.
All right, so I'd say for the most part, Meat and I are pretty much on the same page with this one. We talked about essentially the same stuff, the vocal techniques, the synthetics. We had a slight differ in what we thought the lyrics were about. I thought they were a little bit more ridiculous, but not in a way that like discredits anything. It felt Taylor, you know, it felt like a very Taylor Swift song because it felt like it was coming from an actual person, and it felt like it was coming from an actual person because I've gotten to know that person, you know, obviously through the screen here and checking out our music behind the scenes stuff, but I know what's important to her. I know what she finds comfort in. And that's why I found it, I don't know, kind of cute. But it's also kind of empowering too, especially with her at the place that she is right now, you know, and the way that she can, you know, write these songs and share these, you know, details in music. And, you know, if you just passively listen and you're not a fan, like you won't pick up on them. But if you get to kind of know her and her personality a little bit, like those little things, like a cat on her lap purring because it loves her, and the way that she talks about things and the way that she phrases things and like the way that she uses different tones and how she expresses what she just said, like it all has weight and it all has meaning, even with a song that's somewhat as playful as this. And, you know, as much as I'm joking around about this song, like I think it fits within this 13 nights, you know, the 13 nights that kept you up, you know, and her just thinking and laying in there and probably just scrambling in her mind and thinking about all the times that she's been wronged and just saying, you know what, I'm going to let it roll off my shoulder. The extension of all you're ever going to be is mean. That's kind of cool, man. I didn't really even think about that. That was a really good point, honestly. And it's cool that it's so many years later and she's still kind of coming to this conclusion. You know, sometimes we have these personal epiphanies where everything just checks out. Everything just makes sense. It all clicks. The math is coherent. It's all right there. And you're just like, I see through it all. I understand now. But that doesn't mean that you need to stop reminding yourself of how you got to that point, how you figured out that equation, that personal equation that got you to such clarity. And this being kind of an extension of Why You Gotta Be So Mean, that song, I can kind of see it, you know, because you need to remind yourself of the good. You need to remind yourself to release those toxins, to let yourself go in certain ways, to not let things fester. And I think this song is an admission of that. Love the roads.
I spy with my little tired eye, tiny as a firefly, a pebble that we picked up last July. Down deep inside your pocket, we almost forgot it. Does it ever miss Wicklow sometimes?
Wicklow.
They said the end is coming, everyone's up to something. I found myself around and home to your sweet nothings. Outside they push and shoving, you're in the kitchen humming. All that you ever wanted from me was sweet nothing. On the way home, I wrote a poem. You say, what a mind. This happens all the time. 'Cause they said the end is coming, everyone's up to something. I found myself around and home to your sweet nothings. Outside they're pushing, shoving, you're in the kitchen humming. All that you ever wanted from me was nothing. Industry disruptors and soul deconstructors and smooth talking hucksters out glad handing each other, and the voices that implore you should be doing more. To you I can admit that I'm just too soft for all of it. They said the end is coming, everyone's up to something. I find myself around and home to your sweet nothings. Outside they're pushing, shoving, you're in the kitchen humming. All that you ever wanted from me was sweet nothing. They said the end is coming, they said the end is coming. Everyone's up to something, everyone's up to something. I find myself around and home to your sweet nothings. Outside they're pushing, shoving, outside they're pushing, shoving. You're in the kitchen humming, you're in the kitchen humming. All that you ever wanted from me was sweet nothing.
That was so simple, but so good. It just hit the spot. It was so, and no pun intended here, it was just so sweet. I'm a sucker for this kind of stuff, and this one did it for me, guys. This is one of my favorites on the album. You know what it is for me at its core? It's that full gratitude, the sincerity of unconditional love. Loving somebody and not expecting anything in return. Celebrating somebody not because you need something or want something. And the way that she talks about just being together in inanimate objects that would mean nothing to anybody else, that means something to her, has like a sense of childlike wonder, but it just feels sincere, you know? It feels real, it feels honest. And you know, the approach of the simplicity of this song, approaching it with just very minimal effects, almost no vocal effects whatsoever. Essentially the same tone the entire way through. It feels almost like a breath of fresh air that's come into this album with so many different variations in vocal stylings and so many different, I guess I'll call them pitch shifts sonically. It's been a bit all over the place, and I understand what she's trying to do, and I understand the cohesive nature of tracks leading into other tracks and having a bigger picture and the giant palette of it all. It's such a relief. It's such a release is what it is. It's such a moment of clarity of like, okay, this isn't a moment I'm up freaking out about some crazy thing that I did or something that didn't happen that I don't understand, or this moment when somebody wronged me. This is just a celebration of unconditional love, and I'm here for it. I love it. You know what I really want to know is, what does Wicklow? I would assume that's like a place or something. I don't know what the hell that means. Maybe I'm missing something. Maybe something's going over my head. You know, her just talking about like these almost like mundane moments, you know, just somebody in the kitchen humming. But it's not mundane when you're with somebody that you appreciate. Like, oh, hey, there's a person I love that's right there. That's just amazing. For me, that's what gets it. You know, it happens to me quite often. I'll have these mundane moments with my wife, and I'll just look at her and she'll be doing something. It happened literally just the other day at the grocery store. She was wearing something she doesn't normally wear. And normally what happens is we do two different grocery shoppings. She eats a certain way and I eat a certain way. So we kind of just go off in our own directions and then just meet up at the checkout. But I happened to notice this girl walking by down one of the aisles, and I didn't immediately recognize her as my wife. And like in the back of my mind, I'm like, oh my God, she's stunning. And then she turned around and I was like, fuck, that's my wife. Like, what more can you really ask for? It's like this mundane moment. And I know that's kind of superficial. I'm just talking about, you know, her looks there, but it kind of got me. I appreciate those moments and I try to embrace them as much as I can. And I think we all need to. And I think that's what this song is saying. These quiet, mundane moments that can mean so much to you, and they can pass by so quickly if we do not celebrate them in the moments that they're happening, because we're just so used to it, because it's mundane. It's the same old, same old. But man, life is short, you know? You never know what's going to happen. You never know what's around the corner, you know? You can lose somebody in an instant. Anything can fucking happen. And, you know, and then all you have is your memories. And you look back at these sweet nothings, and then you realize how important they actually were, how much they actually meant to you. And this song is a complete and total celebration of all of it. And God, I love it. I'm a sap. I'm a fucking sap. I know it. All right. I don't care. I'll say it loud and proud. I don't even care. I fucking love it. This is easily one of my favorites on the album. Okay, let's quickly talk about the vocals and the production on this one, because as simple as it sounds and as simply as it's framed, there's kind of a lot going on in the context of everything we've heard leading up to this point. Yeah, on first glance, okay, it sounds pretty simple. There's essentially one sound, the Rhodes, coming through for most of the melodies. There are some slight variations coming from a horn section, which is always nice. I feel like Taylor's general tone and her projection and her natural cadence works really well with horn instruments. I know she once said that she was kind of afraid to use horns, but whenever there's a horn instrument in any of her songs, it does excite me for that reason, and just how her natural tone works with it. But it's a beautiful mix. There is a slight modulation as to how that instrument is introduced. It kind of comes off with a weird pitch bend that sounds very synthetic, and it's very atmospheric, and it seems like it's disintegrating out, and it's kind of panning off into the distance a little bit. But as we get into the, I guess, the second half of the song, the horn instrument, that actual sound, a little bit cleaner and sounds a little bit more organic, kind of in lines with the Rhodes that we're hearing. And yeah, Taylor's tone is fantastic on this. Same general tone the entire way through. All right, we've been through some shit, you know. We've been all over the place, but we're gonna have this moment of warmth, this moment of comfort together, and it just reads beautifully sonically and lyrically. It's a perfect mix in its minimalistic framing. And yeah, I liked her tone on this one. It was sweet, it was soothing, it was relaxing and just so nice. I don't believe there is another artist alive right now that can write a love song as well as Taylor Swift can write a love song. I know she's known as the breakup girl, and she writes these heartbreaking breakup tales. You know, yeah, she does kind of sometimes, and that has happened across, you know, several different albums here and there, especially with some of her more popular tunes. But like, I feel like these kind of songs, these little hidden gems, get lost in the mix of people, you know, and what they think about Taylor Swift without really experiencing her entire catalog as a whole. And I know I haven't experienced the entire thing, but I'm pretty damn close at this point, and I've covered a ton of different artists. I pay attention to music. I study this shit. I just don't see any other artist that can can truly pull on your heartstrings like she can. If people would just like give it a chance and they would like look at something like this, like from like an objective point of view of how they view love, how they view the person that they love, and listen to a song like this. If it doesn't warm your heart, like, I don't know what to fucking say. In fact, anybody watching this video, no matter where it's on, Patreon, YouTube, wherever I end up putting all of this stuff, if you don't like this song, reach out to me. I want to have a conversation with you. I want to see what's going on up there. Like, what's going on? Because for me, this moved me. But you know, let's see what Meat's got to say. I swear to God, if this guy doesn't like Sweet Nothings, I'm bringing Hannah back here so fucking fast.
Release me.
I want to turn this track into a plush teddy bear and fall asleep holding it.
Yes!
I'm going to have to stop myself from writing 3 pages about it. So here goes the short version. I've been married for 10 years. And there's this thing that happens in all long-term relationships, where you develop these almost childlike rituals together. Like some couples do baby voices. Some have really silly pet names.
I don't like baby voices. All right, first off, super happy this guy likes Sweet Nothing. Meat, you want to hang out? Should we just get together? Should we just become best friends?
Do you want to go do karate in the garage? Yup.
Because if this guy ever sees my video, he's gonna be like, who the fuck is this guy? Oh yeah, the baby voice thing. I don't like the baby voice thing. It just rubs me the wrong way. I don't like it. It's weird. I've been with like several different girls that will do the baby voice thing, and it's like, I don't know. I've never had the heart to be like, can you just fucking stop? And do guys do baby voices? Can we even do that? Are we allowed? Anyway, just trust me, the baby voice thing doesn't really work. Also, the daddy thing, no, I don't know, man. Just don't call us daddy, you know? I just like, you know, we both have dads, and like, why are we bringing that guy to the mix? You know, let's just keep it about us. Anyway.
Or some other kind of ridiculous thing that would be so absurd if viewed in some very serious setting by some objective outside observer. But it's a vulnerability shared between 2 people who are completely willing to be silly with one another. This song opens with an I Spy, a childhood game,
Yeah.
followed by what seems to be an inside joke about a pebble that Taylor and her partner collected and how it might miss its home. Immediately, we've got this tiny, precious, intimate, silly moment the likes of which are only found in relationships that have lasted past the fire and the spectacle and made it into the deep end. And we get more. Standing in the kitchen humming, a sincere, so very simple compliment in response to a poem Taylor wrote. An admission that your persona to the outside world hurts you. The littlest, quietest, and simultaneously most important and precious moments in a relationship. They're all she wants from him, and it's all he wants from her. I can only imagine, as someone who has a fraction of the talent and money of Taylor, how much that sense of someone wanting nothing from you but those little moments must be absolutely and utterly treasured.
Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't even think about that. I don't know. I guess sometimes I get selfish with it, you know? Sometimes I get selfish hearing her music, and I just don't even think about things from her perspective. It's just like, it feels like she's just writing for me, you know? I feel like, oh, thank you, Taylor. Yeah, this is exactly, you know, what I liked. I didn't understand some of it. I don't know what the fuck Wicklow is, but like, other than that, I'm like, it just, I don't know. Like, it's like, it feels like it's just for me. You know, I understand, obviously, millions of people are listening too. I mean, there's always an angle, especially with her level of money and fame and everything. So I get it. And somebody just not wanting anything but those quiet, simple, mundane moments to treasure, I guess would mean even more to her.
I want to once again stress that I know virtually nothing about Taylor's love life. But after so many descriptions of relationships in her catalog to this point,
this guy is fucking awesome. He doesn't even care about her love life. Yeah, me neither, man. She already shares so much, you know? It's already an open diary. And I feel like if she wanted to talk about a specific person or a specific instance, she'd just fucking tell us. She's given us so much. Why would I try and take even more? It's just kind of greedy.
Even including some really positive and optimistic and mature ones on Lover in particular. This is the first time where I've heard Taylor write about a relationship and thought to myself, this is a song about a serious, long-term, deep relationship, favorite lyric, and to the voices that implore, you should be doing more. To you, I can admit that I'm just too soft for all of it.
One of my favorite lines is right here. Outside, they're pushing and shoving. You're in the kitchen humming. All that you ever wanted from me was sweet nothing. Everyone's clawing at her. Everybody's trying to take something. Everybody's trying to make something off of her. Everyone's trying to work their angle, but not this guy. He's just humming along in the kitchen and enjoying those moments. Okay, honestly, I kind of wish this was track 13. I wish this is how the album closed up. It would be such a relief and such a release, but we do have one more track left, and it is called Mastermind. Let's check it out. I can fly high in sky, da-na-na-na-na-na. Take a look, it's in a book, reading rainbow.
Butterfly in the sky, I can go twice as high. Take a look, it's in a book, a reading rainbow. I can go anywhere, friends to know and ways to grow, a reading rainbow. I can be anything.
That harmony's sick.
Take a look, it's in a book, a reading rainbow. A reading rainbow. A reading rainbow. A reading rainbow.
I don't care, man. That song slaps. And I hear they're trying to defund PBS. Motherfuckers, get defund PBS. Reading Rainbow is the shit. It has like that same like arpeggiated scale. It's not panning back and forth, but it's following somewhat like the same harmonic structure in scale.
Once upon a time, the planets and the fates and all the stars aligned. You and I ended up in the same room at the same time. And the touch of a hand lit the fuse of a chain reaction of counter moves to assess the equation of you. Checkmate, I couldn't lose. What if I told you none of it was accidental, and the first night that you saw me nothing was gonna stop me? I laid the groundwork, and then just like clockwork the dominoes cascaded in a line. What if I told you I'm a mastermind, and now you're mine? It was all by design, 'cause I'm a mastermind. You see, all the wisest women had to do it this way, 'cause we were born to be the pawn in every lover's game.
Is that true?
If you fail to plan, you plan to fail. Strategy sets the scene for the tale. I'm the wind in our free-flowing sails, and the liquor in our cocktails. What if I told you none of it was accidental, and the first night that you saw me I knew I wanted your body? I laid the groundwork, and then just like clockwork the dominoes cascaded in a line. What if I told you I'm a mastermind, and now you're mine? It was all my design, 'cause I'm a mastermind. No one wanted to play with me as a little kid, so I've been scheming like a criminal ever since, to make them love me and make it seem effortless. This is the first time I felt the need to confess, and I swear I'm only cryptic and Machiavellian 'cause I can. So I told you none of it was accidental, and the first night that you saw me nothing was gonna stop me. I laid the groundwork, and then saw a wide smirk on your face. You knew the entire time. You knew that I'm a mastermind, and now you're mine. Yeah, all you did was smile, 'cause I'm a mastermind.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we are learning today. All right, so we close off the album with another incredibly candid moment from Taylor, especially in this album. This has been such a raw and vulnerable and just like transparent album. I mean, she's done it in the past with other stuff, but like something's different about Midnight's. Like she's pulling back all the layers. Like there's no filter. It just is what it is. And it maybe has never been more apparent than right here on this closing track. But if she is with the guy that she's talking about in this song, maybe she shouldn't have written it. Because obviously it's coming across as very calculated. She's making all the right moves. She knows how to make these dominoes fall, and she knows how to like make this relationship work or get to at least the first stages of this. She's saying, what if I told you none of this was accidental? Like she's had a master plan. So I'm trying to think about like my interactions with like women, and if I ever tried to like mastermind a situation. And honestly, I just don't think I'm smart enough. I'm just gonna be honest with you. I'm just not smart enough. And I've never been very smooth with women. And you know, she says it from like the female perspective as well. So maybe this is more common for females than it is for males. And it's just gone completely over my head. Because she says, you see, all the wisest women had to do it this way because we were born to be a pawn in every lover's game. What does she mean by the wise women are just pawns in the lover's game? What does that mean? That they're discarded? That they're, you know, maybe the guys just move on to the next one or something, and she's trying to like check all those boxes so the guy doesn't move on to something else? I mean, if that's the case, like I feel bad. But I understand, you know, relationships and everything take a certain amount of work, but like she's not talking about a relationship. She's talking about like that initial stage of like being together and just like, you know, having like, I don't know, maybe just like the first hookup or the first like date or whatever. And then she has this heartbreaking moment down here. And maybe this is kind of explaining some of it. You know, no one wanted to play with me as a little kid, so I've been scheming like a criminal ever since to make them love me and make it seem effortless. That is so telling, not only for this specific scenario, but just like Taylor Swift as a whole and her career as a whole. And like, dude, I'm like going back and I'm like thinking about even like Miss Americana and like her on the couch and her receiving backlash and her just be like, I just wanted people to like me. That's why I'm doing this. And I'm getting so much backlash. And it was sad at the time, you know, but it's really starting to make a lot of fucking sense. I mean, there's almost a certain brutality to the honesty. Like right here, this is the first time I've ever felt the need to confess. And I swear, I'm only cryptic because I care. So there's also like one angle to all this where like the guy was kind of in on all this, and maybe he like was getting a bit of a kick out of it because, well, we get egos as well too. And I guess like when women pursue us, you know, it makes us feel good. And it says right here, I laid the groundwork and then saw a wide smirk in your face. You knew the entire time. So maybe this was kind of like this flirtatious moment. And the only reason she's telling us right now is because she's telling other girls like, hey, you know, if you're planning to fail, you're going to fail every time. Like you do need to lay the groundwork, and you don't want to be a pawn in someone's lover game. And none of this can be accidental. Like you got to put everything in line and make it, and just make it all fall into place, which to me is absolutely wild. But maybe that's just how it's done. And I've just never known. It's just always gone over my head, which is a very real possibility. I've never claimed to be a smart man. Okay, so let's talk about the vocals and the production. Then we'll move on and see what Meat's got to say about this one. So production-wise, not too much is going on. It has like this building, almost like anthematic type of feel to it, where it feels like the pressure's building and it's gonna like lead towards something. And it's supposed to be, or it's supposed to at least feel kind of inspiring. That's like the sonic angle I'm getting from all of it. And vocally, it's incredibly clean. No more vocoder, no more weird harmonic shifts and stuff like that. It's all about natural tones in this one, and her voice really shines through. Honestly, vocally, maybe even one of the best on the album. And I know that might sound strange because this comes across as mostly anthematic, and she's like almost talking through most of it. But when she does sing, when we do have those beautiful highs come in, where there is that slight layering to it, like the harmony is just on point. It's just perfect. And it's just like, it pulls at your heartstrings to a certain degree where like, to me, it felt kind of sad, you know, in her delivery, but like the song is like moving in such a, you know, positive way where it feels like, yeah, we're going to do this. We're going to let those dominoes fall into place. And like, we got to do the right thing. But there was like this air of depression to some of her voice, even though I think it was supposed to come across as sweet. I don't know. I'm conflicted on this one. I'm truly conflicted on this one. I think overall I enjoyed it. From just a sonic perspective and a vocal perspective, but the lyrics are opening something up for me. Like maybe I'm just not understanding something, or just maybe I've just never understood it from this angle, and I'm just too stupid to grasp it, or maybe it's just always been this way, and I've just had dumb fucking luck.
I can go anywhere.
All right, let's see what Meat's got to say.
Taylor was conceding to the fates in Invisible String.
Oh.
But here, the fates just provided an opportunity, one that could have gone by without incident. But Taylor is not a loose sail in the wind. She's the motherfucking wind. I'm not sure how this song is typically interpreted, but I, for one, am wholeheartedly convinced that she's not being sarcastic or disingenuous here at all.
Agree.
Even if you might call it being a little playful or a little bit of showmanship, leaning into the title for the theatrics. But it's not false, and it's not dishonest. She's been very self-critical at times on this record, like we saw on Anti-Hero and Midnight Rain. And I think she believes those self-criticisms while still just as much believing the words of this song 100%, all the way through. And just in case it came as excessively boastful, she qualifies it at the end, conceding that her partner was wise to it all along. That's cute as hell.
I didn't think it was boastful. It didn't come across as boastful to me. It just came across as like incredibly informative. Like, I'm like, what the hell? Is this how things happen? Is this how women think?
And the rumbling, unending bass just droning on in the background against the dancing, glitchy piano creates a really appropriate backdrop. It sounds like a puzzle, like something that would be playing inside Sherlock Holmes's head as he's putting all the pieces together.
Oh my God, I didn't even think about that. It does kind of have that angle.
And the faint strings that come in at the end are all it needs to go out with a shine.
Yeah.
They brighten everything just enough while hardly even making their presence known, treating this as the original, intended album closer.
And that's the thing, man. I feel like if you would ask people like what Midnights is, like sonically, like, if you were to describe it, like the general vibe at all, people would probably say, you know, it's pretty chilled out. You know, it's this like low key, kind of slow moving, sometimes broody thing that's, you know, just very minimal. But in reality, it's not very minimal. There's a lot of tracks happening. There's a lot of subtle nuances here. And as a creator, as an artist, as she's grown, like she's moved into like this more poetic approach to everything. There's always been a poetic angle to what she's done. But now she's just like 100% in it. She's like, all right, guys, we've been through some shit, all right? These last couple albums, you know, I know, like if you're still here, like let's just get down to the nitty gritty of stuff. And it's incredibly candid. Minimalistic is how it sounds at first glance, but that's just because as an artist, she's been growing. They've grown and they've morphed and they want to try new things, and they can understand that the devil is in the details. The subtleties is what really brings a song to life. And Midnight's in its essence is just like all subtleties, you know, not necessarily all lyrically. I mean, just completely sonically, just in shifts and how we move into the bridge and how we come out of the chorus. And like, these are the moments that have so much impact, like almost even more than what the actual chorus of the song has. And there's so many examples of it in every one of these songs.
This record really went out with a string of great tracks, and ones that balance each other out thematically and musically super well, and create something much more complex and subtle than I was expecting. Favorite lyric: I laid the groundwork, and then just like clockwork, the dominoes cascaded in a line. What if I told you I'm a mastermind?
Just when I think I've got her figured out, just when I think like I'm at the end of my journey and I've listened to everything so far and I'm getting her angle, I'm understanding her vibe, she goes and does something like this with this album, and it completely and utterly shocked me in so many ways. Okay, so it's an interesting and incredibly candid way to close out the album. Definitely surprising. This is not how I was expecting the album to close out, but I'm also not disappointed. You know, I think for the most part, I enjoyed this song, and I appreciate the raw honesty of it, even if it doesn't paint her in the right or the nicest light. But she's been doing that so much in this album anyway. I think that's what this whole album is about. It's about just being real, just being true, just, you know, not talking about glitz and glamour and the moments of moving to New York and the big city and all this stuff. And those songs have their place and everything, but sometimes you can be a bit detached from all that. You can be happy for her, but like this just feels like I'm sympathizing with a person. I'm hearing a person here. I'm hearing the thoughts and the monologues of somebody that's dealt with very similar things that I have dealt with, and sharing it from a perspective that is completely new to me, especially here on Mastermind. Like, it's self-critical to a fault. There's no filter. It is just raw. If you guys have the time or you care or whatever, I'd be so curious to hear everybody's first impressions What were your first impressions when you heard the first 13 tracks of this album? Like, were you blown away? Did you immediately like it? Were you turned off by it? Like, it's been a bit of a roller coaster, and I'm gonna give my final thoughts on the album as a whole. But like, before I get to that, like, please, if you have the time, like, please share your first experience listening to this album and your first honest thoughts on it. All right, it's got to be honest. Don't just do the thing that's like, oh, you've heard it a million times and now you appreciate it because you understand the deeper context and it just makes more sense from a broader appeal. No, I want to hear your raw, your initial gut reactions to what she's saying here, because this is so different than everything else. And she's tried so many different things and gone in so many different directions, and it usually works out, you know, but a lot of times it's just like from a sonic perspective, a shift in a genre of music. But this is like a shift in art, a shift in a way of thinking, a shift in a relationship between an artist and her fans. And it is incredibly vulnerable. It's incredibly raw, and it's so surprising, but it's also refreshing, because my knee-jerk reaction, my gut impressions on first listen of this, outside of Sweet Nothings, this is some of Taylor's darkest material to date. Even in some of the more lighthearted and playful tracks, like, there's a certain air of sadness to it. There's a certain tone of regret. There's just this slight sense of contempt and a bit of anxiety. And look, man, I get it. Taylor's no stranger to having some darker themes to some of her music and writing about heartbreak and sharing some of her intimate moments that have truly hurt her. But this feels different. This feels like these are the things that have hurt her or have affected her on more than just a surface level, the things that she's had time to stew with. And in Taylor's other albums, she'd have like these moments of like levity, these moments of like, oh, okay, this little release. And well, we got that with Sweet Nothings and a couple other cute little moments on the album. We don't have that moment of, oh, okay, we're ending in a positive note. Okay, that was a fun listen. We went down a road. These are just the things that she's sitting with, you know? And there's no clear resolution to any of these things. This is just life. You know what I mean? Like, there's no, this happened and this happened and this is why this happened. I mean, maybe Mastermind, she clearly lays it out like that. But for the most part, most of these tracks are like, this is what happened and this is where I am and here is everything, and there's no filter to any of this, and it's absolutely wild. It's an interesting direction to go as an artist, like, just to kind of break down the barriers like this is just wild to me. Midnights is not a collection of radio-friendly hits and easy listening, and it blows my mind that Anti-Hero was the first single on this album. That must have truly shook people. Now, we are knee-deep in an incredibly personal and vulnerable concept album. It's a record that's just steeped in this shadowy elegance. It's a haunting and beautiful reminder that sometimes the most profound truths in life are found in the dark. And honestly, I don't know how I feel about it, but I know that I respect it. I respect the vulnerability. I respect her willing to break down those barriers and share like this. I respect the self-criticism angle of all this. I respect listening to an artist, any artist that's willing to come out and do things like this, let alone an artist like Taylor Swift and everything we've gotten from her. Like, it is absolutely, it's blowing my mind. I got some comments on Patreon and people told me, well, the thing with Midnights is it's kind of a vibe, and they didn't really give me too much context going into it. They just said, just know it's kind of a vibe. And I think I would agree. I think vibe is a bit of an understatement. It's kind of a whole fucking thing. All right, guys. So as I previously said, I need to hear this album in its entirety. I need to feel the fluidity of this album. And I think I'm going to do it this Friday. I'm going to listen to the first 13 tracks with minimal commentary, really just kind of absorb what this is all in one sitting without breaking it up, just to kind of get the general feel of it. Because as much as I like to break things up and put a lot of effort into all these videos so it's more fun for you guys to watch, I feel like I need to experience this in one swoop, in one go through, and share some thoughts with it that way as well. Maybe some of my perspectives will change, but yeah, I'm going to do it live on Twitch this Friday. If you can't make it, don't worry. I'll record the whole thing and I'll have it up for you guys on Patreon. But I need to feel the fluidity of this album. Okay, check this out. Maybe I don't believe in karma, but I definitely believe in fate. And check it out. I just finished the Midnight album reaction on midnight. Crazy, right? Funny how things work out. Well, guys, that is going to do it for me here tonight. Hopefully you enjoyed hanging out for a bit, and I'll be back real soon with the next video. Bye, everybody.